everyone. I'm going to start by saying that Mayor Baldwin is on her way to a conference where she's representing the city, so she will not be here this evening. She is absent and excused. Before we start, Councilmember Jones.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for coming in tonight to make your voice heard. Public comment is an important part of community engagement, and it is powerful that we have seen an increase in participation over the last few months. I am a huge advocate for public voice and have voted time after time to ensure that residents have 3 minutes to share their thoughts. I also have to remind myself that while I am that advocate, I am only human. We have been in back-to-back meetings since 11:30 this morning, which is different than our typical second Tuesday meeting where we only have a work session prior to public comments. We have had a lot of tough topics throughout the day on our agenda, and I do not want to fall asleep if we guarantee 2 or 3 minutes this evening. I do want to validate to the audience that the reason you don't feel heard is because council has not responded to your concerns. We currently have no resolution on the table because we have only met as a group once on this topic. I can only speak for me, but I've met with leaderships on both sides of this current conflict, and Councillor Black and I have some thoughts that we will be circulating among council to garner support. Tonight, we will stay with the allotted 1 minute per person to ensure that council is listening with a full cup.
It's not working.
Thank you so much for your emails and constant contact to share how you feel. I promise it is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. So we have 217 folks signed up this evening. We're going to try something a little different. There's going to be 5 names that go up on the screen. This is in the order of signups. When you see your name on the screen, please just come to the podium. It doesn't really matter which order, but if you can try to keep it in order, that would be great. But come up when your name is on the screen. Please give me your name at the podium so I can indicate that you were here on the list. This will also give some folks who are in overflow time to come down as well. Once these 5 individuals have had their chance to be heard, we'll put the next 5 names on the screen, and we'll continue that way throughout the evening. If you come in late and you miss your name on the screen, if you could please go see Miss Millette, who is going to be at the back of the room. I will point her out next time she comes in, but if you come in late, please see Miss Millette, and she'll let me know you're here, and I'll just add you to the next group. Okay, Miss Millette's right back there, so if anyone comes in late, please direct them to Miss Millette, and she'll let me know they're here, and we'll add them to the next group. Just a reminder that we really want everyone to be heard this evening. It's really hard to hear if the room gets too loud, so if you do agree with the speaker, head nods and air claps are really appreciated. So let's start with the first 5. So if your name is on the screen, please head down to the podium, give me your name, and we will go from there.
Good evening. My name is Beth Ballard, and I am a proud native of North Carolina. I am present this evening to serve as a voice for my Palestinian sisters and brothers. I am here tonight to urge the Raleigh City Council members to vote yes on the resolution for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza in order to end the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. I urge you to represent the values and will of your constituents and stand up for justice and humanity with us. I read the quite frankly disturbing reasons the council has provided to explain their refusal to vote on the ceasefire resolution, and as one human being to another, I would like to kindly ask you to reflect, self-reflect, and ponder these questions. How can you remain neutral about genocide and ethnic cleansing of a people? How do you not realize that your very refusal to stand up against injustice and impunity on the part of the apartheid state of Israel feeds into the perpetuation of injustice and leads to the divisiveness and friction that you are so concerned about within our local community? Stop the genocide, stop the Holocaust of 2023-2024.
Thank you.
My name is Rania Al-Masri. You will hear testimonies and horrific statistics about the genocide inflicted on the Palestinians in Gaza. You see in front of you some of the faces of those killed. You will also hear excuses given to justify the slaughter, to attempt to justify the slaughter. I ask you, remember the words of the Israeli officials themselves. They said, and I quote, Israel should find ways more painful than death for Palestinians. They said, they are animals, they have no right to exist. They said, our common goal is erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. They said, the people should be told they have two choices, to stay and to starve, or to leave. They have made their objective clear. When a crime is committed of this magnitude and supported by US dollars, it becomes incumbent upon every single elected official, local included, to register their opposition. Nothing can justify shredding the bodies of children. The families of the Israeli hostages in Gaza also cry out, ceasefire now, ceasefire now. I have material to give you that I hope you will look at.
Y'all,
Comment. We were told that there would be no. Please.
Listen, I really want. Hang on, guys. I really want everyone to have the opportunity to be heard this evening. We do not want to end or suspend the meeting, so please, if you agree with someone, please just nod your head or air clap, and if you disagree, you will also have your opportunity to be heard, but we have to get through everyone, okay? And also, just to clarify on the 5-speaker thing, I see some folks over there, that's fine. It would be helpful if folks were near the podium so I can tell when those 5 have been or have had their chance. So it maybe down the aisle or right here would be fine, but all right, go ahead.
My name is Anna Ordubadi, and I'm with the North Carolina Green Party. Every item of clothing that you see represents 100 children that have been murdered by Israel and the United States since October 7th in Gaza. We can't keep up. Oh, sorry. Shoot. Every item of clothing represents 100 children that have been killed. There weren't enough because we can't keep up, because every 10 minutes in Gaza, a child is killed by US weapons. Think about the little girl who wanted to be a doctor after her parents and family were killed and she lost her leg. 2 weeks later, she was killed in the hospital bed where she was recovering after surviving that. 4 out of 5 people starving in the world right now are in Gaza. Without a ceasefire and immediate humanitarian aid into Gaza, even more children will suffer and die. This fact is indisputable. There is never any reason to starve children to death or deny them basic medical aid. There is never any reason to tear limbs from their body and crush them under the rubble. Continuing the slaughter does not make Gaza or Israel safer. It puts the hostages' lives in danger. As elected officials, you have power and responsibility.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Adam Zigar. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam, Rasulullah. I just want to do a little bit of a thought experiment with everybody. If you could imagine that Raleigh was under the same conditions as Gaza, in that there's a blockade, that would mean you would not be physically able to travel from here to Chapel Hill, which is just 30 miles away. That would mean that your food, your fuel, your water, everything is vetted and controlled by a foreign occupying power. What does that translate to? That translates to starvation, that translates to murder, that translates to what we're seeing taking place today. We need to wake up and show our humanity and rise together. There needs to be peace, but there can only be peace if there's justice and if the occupation and apartheid comes to an end. And that's what I call on you guys for, is to demand a ceasefire. We cannot sit idly by while there's more and more people, innocent people, being killed and slaughtered. Thank you.
Is speaker number 5 here? CJ?
My name is KJ Craig. I'm a constituent of District 4. In just over 2 months, more Palestinian children have been killed in Gaza than all the children killed in all conflicts since 2019 combined. On average, 10 of the remaining Palestinian children have a limb amputated every day. 93% of all Palestinians alive in Gaza are currently starving. We've seen this kind of death and suffering in past genocides. The elimination of the indigenous populations in the Americas is just one example. Historically, we recognize these atrocities the Western world has committed so clearly as the tragedies that they are, but they're typically positioned as mistakes of the past and lessons to learn from. Yet once again, genocide stares us in the face and we hear calls for neutrality. I don't want us to learn from this genocide. I don't want us to look back at the eradication of the Palestinian people 50 years from now and hear it called a tragedy to learn from. I want us to stop it in its tracks now. We have an incredible opportunity to stop history from repeating itself. I urge you to take it. I understand the hesitancy to take action for fear of backlash, but I ask you to be braver than that. Join the 37 other city council bodies across the nation and pass the proposed ceasefire resolution. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Can I suggest, as people speak, we roll the list down so folks will kind of know? Is that what you're about to say? I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay. One, I'm sorry for calling you CJ. It's probably the easiest name not to mess up, and I somehow did that. KJ. And then, so now the next 5 folks are up. And so what we'll do is once the 10th person on this list, we'll put the next 5. So as you see your name appear on the screen, please don't wait. Just go ahead and come on down.
I should have a presentation. No, I sent in a presentation. Ezra El Sayed. I'm here today, standing in front of you. Oh, wait a second. I'm here today to talk about a ceasefire in Gaza, where a child is killed every 10 minutes. Gaza is a population of 1.1 million children. 50% of the total population are children. Not only are we bombing them, but we are also starving them. Over 12,000 kids have already been killed. No ceasefire is supporting a genocide.
Can anyone just tell me what they did to deserve this, to be murdered in this way? I mean, please.
All from the IDF. Thank you.
Are speakers 7, 8, 9, or 10 here? That's fine. The order really doesn't matter. When your name's on the screen, just come up and give your name, and that way we'll make sure everyone gets heard. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Nadia Ali. I'm a lifelong resident of Raleigh, an alumni of Broughton, a small business owner, and I'm here as your constituent. Not a random transplant or out of town or touring for propaganda. Clearly, you've heard, you've read, and you've seen. Something is desperately wrong. There are those who are desperately crying out for life, law, ethics, morality, and unfortunately, there are others who are making false accusations, spreading lies, and urging for an ugly facade of neutrality. Genocide leaves no space for neutrality. The lives of children leave no space for neutrality. Stand with the majority of your constituents, stand with justice. There was a call for release of hostages by the North Carolina GOP today. So how about use those words for both sides, for all humans, for all life. Let us be proud that we voted for you to represent the city. Remember, November is coming. Where do you want to be? Because clearly nothing you've done for Raleigh says you want to continue representing us. It's disappointing how you're willing to lose your morals to fill your pockets.
And then, again, if your name's on the screen, please go ahead and head down to the podium. And if your name's up there, just please come on up to the podium and just give me your name, and that's what we're going to do throughout the evening. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Michael Dublin, lifelong resident of Raleigh through and through, born at Old Rex Hospital.
Hang on one sec. Can you pause? What's your name, sir?
Michael Dublin, number 12.
Okay. You can restart his time. All right. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Michael Dublin, a lifelong resident of Raleigh. I'm from Raleigh, born in Old Bricks Hospital. From State Street, Raleigh North Apartments, Oakwoodville, I played Little League Baseball at Chavis Heights. So being from Raleigh, I definitely know what it's like to live under an oppressive system, as many of you do. And so I am asking Raleigh to support the ceasefire, the resolution. I won't go through the history. Other people are going to cover it. But I do want to say, some of y'all up here, you really need to do the right thing, because I know some of you, and I know your families. I know that some of y'all were raised better than this. And I know that some of your ancestors are rolling over in their graves right now as the graves in Gaza are piling up and getting fuller and fuller. You guys know, and you were raised better, you know to do the right thing. Your ancestors had the thumb on their necks and had the system. You guys can make a difference. So stand up. Stand up when you can. Do the right thing.
Number 11, Diala Hamid. I am a Lebanese-American pediatrician who witnessed Israeli brutality firsthand during its invasion of Beirut in 1982 and its terror actions ever since. It is appalling to me as a physician to learn about doctors in Israel who signed green light for bombing hospitals and ambulances. What Hippocratic oath did they vow for? Their professions. I appeal here to your moral strength in refusing that unarmed, clearly marked refugee camps, reporters, UN workers, be targeted, sniped, kidnapped, and deprived of food, water, and electricity. All these acts define genocide, as you well know, but keep brushing off. Ceasefire would allow for humanitarian aid and return of Israeli hostages who are also innocent. We healthcare workers, honoring those who sacrificed their lives in Gaza, appeal to the correct action from you, signing ceasefire resolution. Martin Luther King Day yesterday. No justice, no peace. Injustice anywhere is justice, injustice everywhere. Martin Luther King, thank you.
Thank you. Are speakers 7, 9, or 10 here? Okay, could we go ahead and get the next 5 names, please? And when your name appears on the screen, please just come down to the podium in any particular order, but just give your name when you're down here. Thank you.
My name is Octavia Rainey, and I'm here to say that I do not support the transit overlay district in my neighborhood or on Newbern Avenue. The transit overlay district is a detriment to us. I led the rezoning charge in College Park and Idlewild from an R20 to an R10. So I do not support the transit overlay district at all. The second thing I want to talk about is the artwork. There is a misconception here. There's plenty of artwork being done on Newbern Avenue, but the artwork is not to replace us. It should be to enhance us. In the Black community, the artwork replaces us, so we are not there. But in the white community, it enhances the white community, and that is wrong. So don't come with that. That is not an enhancement to the Black community at all.
Okay. Greetings all. My name is Manzoor Chima. I'm a resident of Raleigh, North Carolina for 23 years. Yesterday, we celebrated MLK. Here are some quotes from MLK. The bombs in Vietnam explode at home. They destroy the dreams and possibilities of a decent America. March 1967. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. April 1967. Currently, Raleigh taxpayers pay $6.8 million for Israeli occupation that could pay for 814 households with public housing, more than 2,000 children for health care, 74 elementary school teachers, and 181 students for loan debt cancellation. Dr. Bernice King, MLK's daughter, recently tweeted that if her father was alive today, he would call for ceasefire in Israel's war on Gaza. It is time for Raleigh City Council to join millions of Jews, Christians, Muslims, black, brown, working class folks, locally to globally, by calling for ceasefire, divest from future Raleigh police training by Israel and any foreign military. Thank you.
Before I start, I have something for the clerk to give to the council.
You can bring it over here.
My name is Sara Mahmoud. There are claims that there is no genocide occurring, but this claim is completely contrary to what Israeli officials are stating. Israeli analyst Eliyahu Yossein says, and I quote, "The woman is an enemy, the baby is an enemy, and the pregnant woman is an enemy." Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant says, and I quote, "No food, water, fuel, or electricity. We are fighting human animals and we are acting accordingly." Israeli army reservist Ezra Yachin says, and I quote, "Erase them, their families, mothers, and children. These animals can no longer live. Every Jew with a weapon should go out and kill them. If you have an Arab neighbor, go to his home and shoot him." Former Knesset member says, and I quote, "In Gaza, without exception, they are all terrorists. They must be exterminated. We will flatten Gaza, turn them to dust, and the army will cleanse the area." It is clear that Israel is a racist terrorist state that wants to murder all Palestinians.
Will you pause for time, please? Y'all, we have to give everyone their time, okay? I understand that there are differing opinions in the room. I'm going to put 5 seconds back on the clock for the speaker, okay? But please, we have to get through everyone, okay? If you disagree, you're going to have a chance to speak. And if you agree, please, air claps and head nods. Even the snapping gets a little disruptive, but please, thank you. Go ahead. Can you add 5 seconds to the clock, if that's even possible? There you go.
Like I said, it is clear that Israel is a racist terrorist state that wants to murder all Palestinians. If you do not support a ceasefire, then once again, you have shown us you do not care about Arab lives.
My name is Batul Alzubi. Yesterday, I was put in a heartbreaking situation when my 7-year-old little brother witnessed videos of children being murdered and homes being destroyed. My brother asked why the world was letting this genocide happen before our eyes. As I explained the situation, it broke me to tell him about the harsh reality of how the children of Gaza wake up every morning to the sounds of bombs and gunfire. How do I tell him that Gaza has become a graveyard for thousands of children? How do I explain to him that they have no access to clean water, food, or a safe place to sleep at night? My brother couldn't comprehend how some children are denied basic human rights. Here I have an example of an infant named Sidra. She suffered from extreme inflammation of the lungs after being exposed to gas and gunfire. She died on January 6th. Council, my brother's question extends to you as well. When will you acknowledge the heavy toll?
I also have something to give to the council. Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead and if you bring it over to the clerk, and then we'll start your
time. My name is Erhan Rahman. I'm 19 now. So in the 1930s, Hitler famously dismissed the League of Nations as they attempted to stop his journey of war and genocide. On Saturday, history echoed as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "No one will stop us, not the Hague, not the axis of evil, and no one else," referring to the case of Israeli genocide at the International Court of Justice at The Hague. The UN and the ICJ are entities created for the maintenance of international peace and security. When you oppose peace and security, you stand for the opposite. Israel has also breached 28 international laws and counting, both before and after October 7th. International law supports order in the world and advances peace, prosperity, and human rights. When you dismiss international law as Israel has done, you stand for the opposite. City Council of Raleigh, I urge you, please apply critical thinking to objective international laws and the facts of
Again, if you see your name on the screen, please come down to the podium.
My name is Julia Owen. I noticed a room full of people in here when we arrived. While the voices for peace and a ceasefire were waiting outside in the cold. That's shame. In 100 days, over 30,000 people are dead in Gaza. Over 12,000 children are forever gone. Remind me, who is Israel fighting this war against? 12,000 children are gone in 3 months. That's not a number. Those are children. And that's not even mentioning the thousands that are missing, the thousands that are orphaned, or the thousands maimed. And that's just in Gaza. The West Bank is also being rampaged, killings, kidnappings, destruction of property and infrastructure. No Hamas. This madness must end. How many children and parents need to die before you can see your way to calling for a ceasefire? You are the council for the state's capital. Be leaders. Show empathy. Call for a ceasefire. Save Gaza and its children. Ceasefire now. Free Palestine.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. My name is Omar Nabulsi, a Muslim Palestinian American, and I served in the U.S. Army. Over the last 102 days, millions of people across the world have taken to the streets demanding a ceasefire and a stop to the ongoing genocide in Palestine. There have been approximately 600 demonstrations held in the U.S. Thousands of people in Raleigh alone took to the streets weekly, and more than 4,000 letters sent to the city council. Over 70% of Americans are in favor of a ceasefire. The people are awake and the world is watching as our politicians prove day in and day out that this country is not a democracy. We are the majority and we demand a ceasefire. Your silence on the ongoing atrocities on foreign land indirectly give the green light for them to happen domestically, as we've already seen when a 6-year-old was stabbed to death in Chicago and 3 Palestinians shot in Vermont. We are calling for peace on both sides. This benefits both sides. Holding Israel accountable does not make you anti-Semitic. You either support genocide or you don't. We demand peace, and never again means never again for everyone. God is watching and he does not forget.
Tim Niles. Your 2022 elections survey showed 73% opposition to 4-year terms. You didn't trust it because it wasn't controlled for demographics. You have a new demographically correct survey now. Despite the biased wording of the questions only giving possible positive impacts without negative impacts, the answer still came back as a majority against 4-year terms. Please review the formal report from ETC, not the staff slides. Staff replaced the ethnicity crosstab data with number of years in Raleigh to find the one small group supporting 4-year terms. The top line numbers include that group proportionally. No district, no age group, and no ethnic group showed majority support for 4-year terms. You didn't trust the self-selected survey. You refused to accept the controlled survey. What part of no are you having trouble with? I'm reminded of the old saying, the beatings will continue until morale improves. No means no.
Are speakers number 21, 22, and 23 here? Go ahead.
Ahmed Mustafa. Ladies and gentlemen of the Raleigh City Council, my name is Ahmed Mustafa. How many voices do you have to hear from before you realize that Palestinians are asking for peace and ceasefire, while Zionists are wanting to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from Palestine? In the past 102 days, more than 24,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 60,000 wounded. The majority of them are being children. I'm shocked and disappointed that this city councilman hasn't passed the ceasefire resolution. Israel has been committing war crimes daily, like targeting places of worship, hospitals, and killing journalists. At least 100 journalists have been killed in Gaza since October 7. This is a method to use to suppress the freedom of speech and intimidate anyone attempting to report the truth of what's happening in Gaza. At least 347 were killed in the West Bank, where I am from, and 92 of them are children. And there is no Hamas. This councilman has continued to turn a blind eye to the injustice committed by Israel. And come election day, we'll remember those of you that were too afraid to stand up against injustice and genocide.
Okay. Thank you. Again, if you see your name on the screen, please go ahead and head out of the podium. Yes, go ahead.
Angie Elhouni. Can you hear me?
It's faint, but yes.
Okay. Palestine, a land of dreams shattered, Gaza, a place of blood spattered, Zionism, an ideology of no shame that imprison, steal, murder, then try to shift blame. Children left to bleed out in streets, mothers buried in bloody sheets, children's limbs reaching out of crushed rubble, families drinking rainwater out in street puddles. We demand a ceasefire, peace, and liberation. Zionists refuse this to continue occupation. They will call it self-defense as they continue the hits. They will speak of human shields, calling us terrorists, while they murder thousands of children, limit food and aid, Gazans dying of starvation, suffering and afraid. We need a ceasefire resolution before we run out of time. We need a ceasefire resolution. We need a free Palestine.
I'm Samir Chima. I'm a physician, I'm a father, and over the past over 3 months, I've seen over 400 of my colleagues killed. And we all took the Hippocratic Oath that said, do no harm. Yet, that doesn't apply to physicians or the thousands of babies that have died or the thousands of mothers and fathers that have been killed in Palestine. Where's the morality? Where's the humanity? We know the numbers. We've seen it. You've heard us over 4 times now. Hundreds of speakers have spoken. We just ask that please step to the plate. Please, we are begging you. We need this violence to stop. We need to stop supplying arms. We need to stop fueling the flame. We need a ceasefire now. Free Palestine.
Y'all, reminder to folks in the crowd, please. The officers on the perimeter of the room are going to start to pay attention to the folks who are causing the disruption, and if it's going to keep happening, we're going to have to ask those individual folks to leave. I do not want anyone to disrupt the ability for everyone else to be heard. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening. As a longtime Raleighite, I'm proud that our city stood up for justice in 1986 when it passed a resolution opposing apartheid in South Africa. Shortly after South Africa freed itself from the brutal repression of apartheid, Nelson Mandela famously said, "We know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians." So here we are today. I'm calling on you to continue supporting South Africa and continue supporting what South Africa is standing for. It's calling for an end to the Israeli genocide in Gaza. It's taking the international lead on this issue. And I ask that you once again rise up for justice and stand up calling for a ceasefire. Thank you.
And what was your name?
My name is Wa al-Masri, and I have something to give as well.
Okay, thank you. You can give that to the clerk.
Very good.
If y'all could just give your name when you come to the podium, and we'll start the time after you say your name. It just helps me keep track of who's here. Okay, so if your name's on the screen, go ahead. We got it right here.
Shalom, it's Benny. The mayor said that members of the Jewish community do not feel safe, but she really meant Zionist Jews. Those of us who are not pro-genocide feel safe and cared for by the local Palestinian and broader Arab community. At the heart of Jewish Zionist fear is a lie. The fear may feel real, but the lie is that Judaism is Zionism and that Jews are Israel. I am a proud diaspora Jew. Fellow members of Macomb, the anti-Zionist congregation in Durham, are rooted in here-ness. Anti-Zionist Jews support a ceasefire and a free Palestine. The mayor said members of the Jewish community feel like their voices aren't heard. We feel like our voices aren't heard when she only listens to the Jews that she agrees with, who are pro-genocide. If the Zionists wanted to free the hostages, they would support a ceasefire, an all-for-all exchange of about 200 Israeli hostages for about 7,000 Palestinians held hostage in occupation prisons, fed by kangaroo courts or administrative detentions, no charge or no trial. Israel would need to stop the aggression and make some concessions. So Zionists are here acting like victims, cheering on the occupation forces that have already killed 30,000 people, including Israeli hostages, but mostly Palestinians. Pass the ceasefire.
My name is Abby Carr.
Can you restart our time? Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm here to urge you to vote on a resolution calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Every day that you do not take action, innocent Palestinians are murdered with American weapons by an army that our government funds in direct opposition to the interests of the American public. Your silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. Your refusal to take a stance on what scholars are literally calling the war on children is cowardly, and there is no excuse. We claim to be a democracy where every voice in every town matters. The actions you take today mean something about your humanity and decision to listen to the constituents who elected you. This city council has taken a position on international issues before, namely the condemnation of apartheid in South Africa of 1986, a resolution that still stands today. I ask that the council resolve to divest from Israel and invest in our Raleigh community. North Carolina has been ranked as the worst state in the country for labor rights. How is it legal that I be paid $2.13 an hour as a service worker, barely making ends meet, working 40 hours a week, and then my taxes are taken to send weapons to Israel, murder kids, and give the IDF free healthcare and education? Ceasefire now, divest from Israel, and free Palestine.
My name is Chaddy.
Thank you. Go ahead. I had him withdrawn, but he's not withdrawn. He's on my withdrawn list, but he's here.
My name is Chaddy. I'm here today practicing my rights, the one that the United States of America Constitution gave me, not the Israel Constitution. I'm the voice of the oppressed people in Gaza. I'm the voice of the Palestinian. I'm the voice of the veterans, the one they are homeless in the streets while we give our tax money to another country to commit a genocide. I'm here, I'm the voice of the people of Jesus, the one who was a Palestinian, the one they've been slaughtered for the past 100 days. Today is your chance to clarify if the blood of the baby is on your hand gonna stick or it's gonna be wiped. Because even you're gonna be in the oppressed side or the oppressor. Ceasefire now.
Thank you. We've added some more names to the list. So again, if you see your name, please go ahead and head down to the podium and just give your name first. Thank you.
Number 29, Victor Akiza.
Thank you.
My name is Victor Akiza. I work as a workers' rights organizer, and I am a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I came here to demand that Raleigh City Council pass a permanent ceasefire resolution. It has been more than 100 days of this brutal genocide with over 100,000 Palestinians either killed, injured, or missing. And it is sickening and inhumane that this city council has still not passed a ceasefire resolution. How many more children, mothers, and fathers have to be killed for you to find your conscience and morality? Where is your humanity? There have been at least 44 cities that have passed a ceasefire. Why is it so difficult for Raleigh to condemn genocide? Can someone please explain this to me now? To the people in this room who have been fighting for Palestine, do not lose hope. These elected officials who refuse to call for a ceasefire do not represent the will of the people. We will see a free Palestine within our lifetime, from the river to the sea. The oppressed people of the world have always found their liberation. It is up to us to keep organizing and fighting. We will not tire, and we will never stop talking about Palestine. Free, free Palestine!
Leslie Kramer. So when we're out marching in the streets, we always say this thing. We say, in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. And at first I didn't understand because I thought, isn't it insensitive to say I'm from a culture that I'm not? But I get it now. Because Palestine is so much more than the land between the river and the sea. Palestine is family. Palestine is the pain that can still push you to love other people. And it's the love that you have when love is the hardest thing to do. So when I breathe, it is with the strength of 30,000 final breaths. When I bleed, it is with the blood spilled by 100,000 bombs. When I cry, it is with the tears of 2 million mothers, fathers, sisters, daughters, brothers, and children. And when I love, it is with the heart of 8 billion. Humanity is calling to you from synagogues and from mosques and from churches and from temples. It is calling to you from beneath the rubble and from above the clouds. The only question left is, Jonathan, Stormy, and Corey, will you listen to what it has to say? Ceasefire now and free Palestine.
I'm Haley. All right. It astounds me that anyone on council dare run for public office and in doing so tout a support of community engagement while blatantly ignoring the demands of constituents. There are many in this room who have lost countless loved ones, and there is no way that I can be convinced that a crisis of such magnitude impacting my neighbors is not a local issue. Their grief is all of our grief, and if you are capable of feeling that grief, then you should not only be devastated that tens of thousands of lives have been lost and that you have failed to pass a resolution in that time, but you should be ashamed of any silence that you have found comfort in. I can only implore you to realize the immense wrongdoing that comes with not speaking out against international war crimes. This is a collective responsibility that we must all share, and for those of you in support of a resolution, you should be raising your voices high. Thank you to those who are. There's no discomfort or backlash that I can imagine that would ever compare to the pain that many in this room have been feeling as you have been silent. If you can take on the criticism of your votes to gerrymander, gentrify, and over-police and restrict the voices of your constituents, then surely you can take on the criticism that might come with supporting this resolution. Ceasefire now.
My name is Carrie.
Thank you.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has compared Israel's treatment of Palestinians in the occupied territories to the racist systems of apartheid in his own country, which ended in 1994 after nearly half a century. In November, Ramaphosa responded to Israel's assault on Gaza by recalling South Africa's diplomats from Israel. He said, "The collective punishment of Palestinian civilians through the unlawful use of force by Israel is a war crime. The deliberate denial of medicine, fuel, food, and water to the residents of Gaza is tantamount to genocide." The Raleigh City Council stood with South Africa in 1986 in opposing apartheid. Now South Africa is standing against genocide, and Palestinians are counting on all of us to stand against genocide. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Is speaker number 30 here? Okay, if we go ahead and just get the next set on the screen, please. Thank you. If you see your name on the screen, please go ahead and head down to the podium. And again, it doesn't matter which order, just go ahead and please give your name when you step up. Thank you.
Lorraine Meehan.
Thank you.
This is what silence sounds like. This is the silence from those demanding ceasefire. Silence in condemning Hamas for their atrocities. Silence in calling Hamas a terrorist organization. And their silence when Hamas vows to commit genocide against Israel. Instead, we hear there is the call from the river to the sea, the call to destroy Israel, to commit genocide against Israel. How can there be a ceasefire when Hamas still calls for the destruction of Israel? And this resolution will support that. A ceasefire resolution will support that genocide against Israel. Thank you.
Y'all, please, everybody has to have the same rules. So we're going to be quiet when we disagree and quiet when we agree. So air claps, head nods, please. Also, just a general reminder, if the mic's not in front of your face, we can kind of hear you, but the folks at home are not going to be able to. Go ahead.
Amy Ravitch. Hamas is a genocidal Islamic terrorist organization whose goal is to destroy Israel and kill Jews. They plan to repeat the October 7th attack until their genocide of Jews is complete. They gleefully celebrated raping women, shooting nails into their thighs and groin, burning them alive, cutting off breasts, cutting babies out of pregnant women, putting babies in ovens, and more. Hamas is not just...
Can you pause our time, please? We are not going to be able to get through public comment if this keeps happening. I really, really do not want... All right. If the officers could please, if there are folks that are repeatedly disrupting, if we could just ask them to leave until they're able to maybe calm down a little bit. But we cannot, I do not want to end the meeting, but we cannot continue like this. So please, please, please. Can you add 3 or 4 seconds to the speaker's time if I'll tag it on at the end. Go ahead.
Hamas is not just over there, it's here in Raleigh. Their supporters have spoken before you, and they're here before you. Hamas is so well funded they can afford to coordinate pressure and propaganda on city councils across America to tell Israel to give them a break so they can rearm and go back to killing Jews. They've targeted Raleigh, Charlotte, Durham, Fayetteville, Greensboro, and more. Why would any city council want to do the bidding of Hamas? Such a move would only divide the community and increase anti-Semitism, hate, and violence. Thank you.
Okay. Officers, if you see someone speaking out, please ask them to leave. We're going to do this 1 or 2 more times, but at some point we're going to have to stop the meeting, which is not what I want to do. So please, please, if you're here with someone and you want them to be able to be heard or you want to be able to be heard, we have to not be interrupting each other, okay? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Liz Carden. I'm a Raleigh native. I had something prepared, but I threw it out. Let me ask you something. If your sister, brother, grandmother, child were raped, gang raped, and your own damn videos.
Can you pause this for a second? Whoever that was, can you please ask them to
What
step
would you
outside?
do?
All right, thank you. Hang
What
on, hang
would
on, hang
you
on. Your
do?
clock's not back on yet. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
I ask you, what would you do? Jewish lives matter too, okay? Jewish lives matter too. There were gang rapes, and there is a volume of evidence, mostly from Hamas. I ask you, please, somebody mentioned critical thinking before. I believe in the intelligence of this council. Prove me right. There was a ceasefire on October 6th. What would you do? What would you do? I know what I'd do. Thank you.
Thank you. You've got something for the clerk right there.
I'm Samira Haddad. I never thought that I'd live to see a day when asking for a ceasefire, an end to bombings and killings would be controversial. We have individuals standing up here concerned with our asks, but not concerned about stopping a genocide. Are we still talking about Hamas after 103 days of Israel's slaughter of innocent men, women, and children? After Israel intentionally bombed and destroyed dozens of hospitals? After Israel killed 3 of their hostages? After the IDF executed women and children at point-blank range, bombed churches, mosques, and universities? After Israel murdered 10,000 children and blocked the delivery of life-saving aids? After hearing Israeli officials make open statements calling for genocide? Let's be clear. This war was never about self-defense or releasing the hostages. This has been about destruction, ethnic cleansing, and collective punishment, and this needs to stop now. When our voices are not being heard in Congress, we're turning to you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Marina Isa. I am here as a Palestinian Christian demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. I hope you all had a great holiday, right? That's what you've been telling people during this time of year? Having family time while Israel deliberately creates a generation of orphans in Gaza? This year, instead of Christmas carols and jingle bells, I heard heavy gunfire, blood-curdling screams, and echoing cries of 2.3 million Palestinians while you and your loved ones were opening holiday presents together. As fireworks took off in this country for New Year's, Israel dropped bombs all over Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria, bombs funded by American tax dollars. Thank you, Mary Black, Christina Jones, Jane, and Megan, for calling for a ceasefire. How long are the rest of you going to stay silent with excuses? At this point, it is clear that you categorize us as white, but only if it's convenient. All for those votes, though, right? Baldwin, Jonathan, Corey, and Stormy, we need your call for a ceasefire.
Thank you. Is speaker number 35 here? Okay, if we could get the next group up, please. It would start at number 40. Number 40 would be the top of the list. Thank you. If you see your name on the screen, please come forward. Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Andrew Gluck. The Hamas terrorist supporters who have spoken before you claim to care about Muslim lives, but they don't. Did they come before the city council when 500,000 Muslims were killed in Syria by other Muslims? No. Do they come before you on behalf of the Uyghur Muslims tortured and killed in China? No. They come before you now because they can blame Jews for the situation in Gaza, which is solely the responsibility of Hamas terrorists who invaded Israel on October 7th. Women, men were brutally raped, tortured, mutilated, and murdered. Babies were beheaded and burned alive. This is the outrage. How many times has Raleigh even entertained a resolution about a ceasefire concerning a non-sovereign territory at war? Only now because Jews are involved. When I was here at the first meeting, the Hamas supporters remained seated during the Pledge of Allegiance. They care so little for America. What makes us think they care anything about Raleigh? Thank you.
I'm Josh Ravitch. Ready?
Yes, go ahead, whenever you're ready.
There was a ceasefire in place between Hamas and Israel on October 6th. Hamas willfully broke it on October 7th, raping, burning, decapitating, torturing, murdering, and kidnapping civilians of Israel, USA, and other countries. They violate additional international laws by using Gazan civilians as human shields, including at hospitals, schools, and mosques. Hamas' long record of repeatedly breaking ceasefires makes a permanent ceasefire resolution absurd, a pipe dream. Instead, why not pass a resolution demanding that Hamas surrender to face war crimes charges, release their hostages, and end the suffering of both Gazans and Israelis? I sympathize with this city council. The pro-Hamas mob is distracting you from addressing issues important to local voters, such as affordable housing. You don't even make foreign policies, so given how divisive this subject is to your voters, why not table the issue? Thank you.
Victor Brancotti. I had a speech prepared too, but I'm not going to use it just because I've been listening to a lot of these presentations and it seems to be a lot of emphasis on the loss of life, however horrible that is. I remind everybody of a term that I'm sure we're all familiar with. It's called casualties of war. And
y'all.
And that's what happens when one group comes into another group's country and performs those kinds of atrocities. There's going to be a response, and sometimes the response is not pretty, and it's far from pretty, but that's what happens. And I think calling for a ceasefire is senseless because if one side doesn't honor the ceasefire, then there's really not a ceasefire. So I think Israel has an opportunity to do what they need to do. I'm neither Jewish nor Muslim or Arab or really have any personal connection to it, but I have been watching the news.
Thanks.
Robert Steele. Tonight, you've got 217 people here, most of them, the overwhelming majority of them, here to talk to you about the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. The mayor has already publicly stated that this city council will not pass a resolution and that that is not likely to change. Despite that statement of intent, the residents who are here to speak to you tonight deserve to be heard. They deserve their full 3 minutes that were guaranteed to them back in March. They won't get it, though, because the mayor, Stormy Ford, Jonathan Melton, and Corey Branch continue to refuse to give it to them. Instead, they've approved yet again a limitation of 1 minute per speaker. But if it was really a matter of fairness, you would move public comment to Saturdays at 10 a.m. instead of Tuesdays at 7. But if, as I suspect is the case, it's a matter of not wanting to listen, then resign. You were elected to be the voice for these people. You can't be their voice if you don't.
Thank you.
My name is Noor, and I am not funded by Hamas. Someone earlier asked, what would you do if your family was a victim of Hamas? Here's what I would not do: murder 25,000 innocent civilians. Not passing a ceasefire resolution means voting yes to a continuation of this violence. It means you have found a way to justify the abhorrent violence we are seeing against innocent civilians every day, whether that justification be Hamas or otherwise. How can you justify starving a population of 2 million people from food and water? How can you justify bombing hospitals, mosques, churches, schools, refugee camps? How can you justify the murder of 152 UN staff members, 100 journalists, 400 healthcare workers, 12,000 children, and 25,000 innocent civilians? How can you justify her murder? You should be like us, jumping at the opportunity to do anything and everything you can, anything and everything in your power to demand an end to this now. Ceasefire now.
Is speaker number 40 here? Okay, if we could get the next group up, please.
I'm Anya Gordon. What would we do if 3,000 terrorists in Wendell, because that's how close Gaza is to those Israeli farming communities destroyed, what if they attacked Raleigh, brutally murdered thousands of Raleigh citizens? Would we want those terrorists in Wendell to survive and plan the next attack on Raleigh, as Hamas is promising to do? When Israel was founded in 1948, it wanted to live in peace next to its Arab neighbors. Israel is the only Jewish state in the world. There are 22 Arab states. Since 1948, those Arab states, or at least some of them, have attacked Israel 6 times with the aim of destroying Israel and pushing all the Jews to the sea. That is what your sea, river to the sea means, of course. Yeah. Palestinian terrorists have also been murdering thousands of Israeli citizens. Israel only defends itself from attack. It has never started aggression.
Y'all, I honestly cannot tell if that was opposition or support, but please, it doesn't matter. It has to be quiet, okay? Please.
I'm Sharnarli. I was born and raised in North Carolina. I did most of my education here, including my PhD. I continue to invest in our public schools. The children of North Carolina are my top priority because the future of humanity lies in how we treat our children. I am not from Palestine and I'm not Muslim, but here I stand. The council members who have remained silent about Gaza, you are sending a message to our children that children that do not look like you do not matter. By not calling for a permanent ceasefire, you are choosing to side with terrorists that continue to slaughter innocent men, women, and children. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, there is a time where silence is betrayal. Silent members of the council, why haven't you called for a ceasefire? Are you blind? Are you racist? Do you support Israeli terrorists? Enough is enough. Stand up for our children. Tell them they matter. And call for a permanent ceasefire.
I'm Deborah Friedman. You have an opportunity to do something historical, even consequential, by educating, not validating, an ideology that disregards facts. You have the benefit of knowing city councils have devolved into rank anti-Semitism with similar such resolutions. You can point to the cause and effect when you review the Carborough resolution because it resulted in misinformation spread within Carborough High School, which made Jewish students feel unsafe on school premises, just like they do at Duke and UNC. All the politicization is inciting hatred. Jonathan Che at New York Magazine wrote, "The role of government was not to impose moral clarity, but to do the opposite, to allow citizens to follow their own consciences. Polarization has turned politics into a kind of ersatz religion, and the most fervent believers are increasingly demanding every authority they can reach affirm their own pieties." Okay.
Hi, Dee Rosenblum. In 1776, the United States of America was formed. Since then, by the power given to them in the Constitution, the elected president and the Department of State manage all foreign affairs. They have budget to do so and have the right resources to see the bigger picture and make sure their actions keep the best interest of the American people. Standing here today makes me wonder only one thing. Who has the interest in pulling the unity out of the United States? Who insists on dividing us and our states? Who insists on crumbling the very base of our method of administration? I strongly believe our administration keeps supporting Israel because it serves the interests of the United States and the American people. I really hope you have the same confidence in our administration and democracy as I had. Thanks.
Rabbi Zalmi Dubinsky. A man dying in Auschwitz told Elie Wiesel, "I have more faith in Hitler than anyone else because he alone has kept his promises, all of his promises, to the Jewish people." Hamas proudly promises to commit the barbaric atrocities of October 7th again and again.
Can you hang on 1 second? Just 1 second. Y'all, I know signs make noises, but if you're intentionally using them to make a noise, we can't have that, okay? We can see the signs, please. Okay, go ahead.
Hamas proudly promises to commit the barbaric atrocities of October 7th again and again, and we have faith in them. Calling for a ceasefire now sends a nod of support to those who promise to massacre us again. It ignores the 136 babies, women, children, and elderly who are held hostage by Hamas. Now, I know these people do not speak for the majority of this welcoming, inclusive city that is Raleigh, and I encourage the City Council to focus on city-related issues. The lies and darkness here can only be answered with light, with moral clarity, and we in this room can shine the light in the darkness, goodness over evil, and love over terror and hate. The Jewish people have been here since the dawn of civilization. Many have tried to destroy us. The Jewish people are eternal. We are here. We are prouder than ever. Am Yisrael Chai. We will overcome.
49, Nada Muhammad. And Palestinians are also here. In regard to those that have still not joined the coalition to call for a ceasefire, with this being our 4th time at City Council and 23,000 Palestinians slaughtered, if you're afraid about elections or that this is a controversial demand, one, we will remember those who stood in complicity of a genocide and those who rose above in support. Not speaking up and not listening to your constituents will result you in not being reelected. Two, it is not controversial when over 150 countries, 35 US cities, over hundreds of humanitarian organizations, when the people of Gaza themselves are begging, when Israelis and the families of hostages have also demanded to call for a ceasefire and an end to the violence for everyone, calling for an end to a genocide and an end to forced displacement, an end to intentional starvation, and a release of all hostages, Israeli and Palestinian alike. If you truly stand with Israel, then hold your beloved government accountable. We have only called for peace and dignity in life for Palestinians, and if that is something that angers you, rethink.
That should be everyone from that group. If we could get the next set of names, please. Thank you.
Karen Cohen. The city of Raleigh has an obligation to protect all of its citizens. Raleigh is not a safe place for Jewish people right now. What peaceful demonstrations call for the elimination of another nation? Posters of hostages are torn down simply because the hostages are Jewish. A few facts. Hamas declared that they will commit the atrocities of October 7th over and over again. Israel is not committing a genocide. Since 1948, the number of Palestinians has grown from less than 1 million to over 5 million. IDF does everything possible to avoid human casualties. What other army sends leaflets to residents to evacuate before striking a terrorist site? There is no occupation of Gaza. Israel left in 2005. The conditions in Gaza are a result of the Hamas leaders who steal from Palestinians and use them as human shields as they launch rockets from their homes, mosques, schools, and hospitals. Hamas must be removed for the safety of both Palestinians and Israelis. A ceasefire towards the Jews.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kelly Corwin.
Can you hang on 1 second, please? Go ahead.
I'm Kelly Corwin. I'm with Socialist Alternative and Jewish Voice for Peace, and I'm from Raleigh Council District C. I also demand you call for a ceasefire and an end to military aid to Israel. One of the reasons you gave for refusing is that it's polarizing and you want to stay neutral on the issue. But did you know that polarization is the 6th stage of genocide? According to the organization Genocide Watch, in the polarization stage, extremists target moderates, intimidating and silencing the center. Don't let false accusations of anti-Semitism and conspiracy theories that Hamas is paying people in Raleigh, like me. I am a registered nurse who simply cares for human lives here and everywhere, and object to the cycle of violence here and everywhere. I was going to read a quote, but it was already read, which might tell you that it's not fake because I found it independently. Genocidal intent from a Israeli official. Working class people on both sides want peace, and genocide is not the way.
Sorry, I was skipped somehow. I'm 55.
What's your name? Oh yeah. Anybody whose name's on the screen can just come up. We're not really paying attention to the order on that. But thank you for giving me your name.
I misunderstood.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I stand with my Jewish neighbors, brothers, and sisters that are being attacked in public, at school, at work, fill in the blank. You are in a position as councilmen for local policies, not foreign policies. But as a follower of Jesus Christ, we are called to restrain wickedness and speak truth. I'm here to support the Jewish people, Israel, and their right to defend themselves. It is clear many do not know the history of Hamas or what took place on October 7th. Israel defends themselves from a daily barrage of rockets. Ceasefire was October 6th. Ceasefire will happen when Hamas stops and releases all of the hostages, including Americans they're still holding. Which side tears down the American flags? Which tears down statues? Which side wears masks to disguise their faces to deface property? Which side is it? The side that's mirroring Hamas or the side mirroring peace, which is not sugarcoating. They would if they did not.
Okay, thank you. Pam Rivers. She's number 57. Our speakers number 52, 53, 54, and 58 here. Ms. Millett, is everyone from Overflow making their way down? Okay, if we can get the next set on the, up on the screen then, please. Again, if you know any of those individuals and they come in late, just have them see Ms. Millett at the back of the room and we'll get them in the next group. Okay, if you see your name on the screen, please head down. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nicole. I'm a behavioral healthcare worker and a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Over the past few weeks, hundreds of Raleigh residents have urged the passage of an immediate ceasefire resolution. Palestinians of Raleigh have shared their testimonies of oppression and displacement week after week. They have marched in the thousands in Raleigh to make their voices heard, only for them to fall on completely deaf ears. We keep hearing the same excuse that this is a polarizing issue. So I ask you, what is polarizing about protecting the civilians who are being killed in the thousands in Gaza, or protecting women and children? Half of the victims of the Israel's bombings are children. How do you justify this? We are sick and tired of hearing that this council should not address international issues. The same Raleigh City Council is the same council that passed a resolution condemning the apartheid system of South Africa in 1986. The time has come for Raleigh City Council to stand with humanity once again. Neutrality during this time means to sign off on genocide. Where is your humanity? I ask you, where is your humanity? Show it to us that you have it. Ceasefire now, free Palestine.
Any of the other speakers whose names are on the screen here? Okay, and Ms. Millett, everyone in Overflow is being sent down if they're, okay, if we can get the next set of names up, please. Again, if your name was just on the screen, if you're here, come to the podium. Okay, next set, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Dania Farawi, and I'm a proud Palestinian and resident of District 13. I'm here today to ask Council to pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. As a physician assistant and healthcare professional, I also implore you to consider an especially vulnerable group, Gazans with disabilities. Among them was my father's cousin, Saeed al-Adgham, a 68-year-old man with hearing impairment. While seeking refuge at a UN school, Saeed woke up one night to use the restroom and did not place his hearing aids. While walking, an Israeli sniper barked at him to stop moving, but he could not hear him and he was shot. His lifeless body laid for 3 days as his family was too terrified to retrieve him. Saeed's only crime was being hard of hearing, and unfortunately, his story is not unique. Thousands in Gaza with disabilities are facing a genocide. Lost limbs, blindness, hearing impairment, developmental disorders, the list is endless. I ask each member of this council to call for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire as Israel is committing war crimes and Palestinians continue to face genocide. There is no reason for avoidable murder.
My name's Anais Rodriguez-Thompson. All right, I'm here to urge the City Council to call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Each day that passes without a ceasefire means that families who are desperate to feed their babies are resorting to unclean water. Babies cannot survive without formula or breast milk. Fathers are going out searching for food for their children, as in the case of Khalil, whose father wrote that his child died hungry. Can you imagine what it's like to watch your child die slowly from starvation? As a parent, it's unfathomable to me. This isn't a natural disaster. This isn't an accidental byproduct of war. Israel is systematically and deliberately starving an entire population. These are tools of genocide. It's not just hunger, it's the spread of disease. It's dying from preventable infections. It's dying in a tent from the cold, as was the case for Sened. Experts predict that more Palestinians in Gaza may die from starvation and disease than airstrikes. We must intervene as soon as possible to prevent a catastrophic number of deaths. Not calling for a ceasefire means saying yes to this inhumane starvation campaign on families. Someone here said that there is a ceasefire on October 6th, 2023, last year for the West Bank. That's not a ceasefire.
Thank you.
My name is Rana Farawi. I'm a resident of District 13, and I'm here to ask the City of Raleigh to pass a resolution supporting an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. I want to point out that here today you have a group of people who want the bombing of a refugee population to end, and you have a group that wants the slaughter to continue. You have a group that says one innocent life lost in Gaza was one too many, and you have a group that says 30,000 is still not enough. You have a group that is advocating for the 1,000 Gazan children with amputated limbs, the 24,000 that have been orphaned, and the 12,000 that have been murdered by Israel, while others are justifying more amputations, more orphaned, and more dead. You have a group asking you to extend your feminism to the women of Gaza who are cutting fabric off their tents to use while menstruating, while another group is weaponizing women by repeating debunked claims of mass rape to somehow rationalize committing a genocide. There is a group here that has been...
Hang on one second. Yo, we're going to continue to give time back to the speaker if you interrupt. So please, if you disagree, just wait for your time to speak, okay? I'm going to give you a couple more seconds at the end. Go ahead.
So again, there's another group that's weaponizing women by repeating debunked claims of mass rape to somehow rationalize committing a genocide. There's a group here that's been coming to these meetings for 3 months and another group that's now only showing up. It makes you wonder if what they have to say is truly dire. Ceasefire now.
Are speakers number 65 and 68 here? 65 and 68 on the list? All right, if we could go ahead and, I don't think so. Sorry, then it would be, would have been 69 and 68. Are they in the room? Okay, if your name's on the screen now, if you could please come forward. And if you're joining us from Overflow, when you see your name on the screen, please just come to the podium. Order on the list does not really matter. Just give me your name when you get up there. Thank you.
My name is Emanuela Priester. This man is Keith Siegel. He was born in North Carolina from Chapel Hill. He's still a Hamas hostage even today. His family has no idea whether he's alive. Anyone who's not calling for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages has something other in mind than the welfare of Palestinians. On October 7th, there was a vicious attack on Israeli civilians. Women were gang raped, women, children, men. We know it because Hamas took videos and released them. We saw the brutal gang rape of women, which you are denying. We saw people being cut into pieces, set in fire while still alive. And people are asking the city council to ask Israel to disarm, to not defend its population. Israel is facing an existential threat from Iran and its proxies, which are Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. I ask that you vote no to this unjust and libelous resolution.
Okay, thank you.
The This is for the city council.
Okay, yes. And if you have something for the clerk, you could hand it to the clerk before or after your speaking time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Phil Brodsky.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Raleigh. Everywhere we look, forces seek to divide and polarize us. Since October 7th, hateful acts and anti-Semitism have greatly increased in Raleigh, including bomb threats at our synagogues. The Jewish community has been on high alert over this time as we mourn our losses, pray for the hostages, and grieve for all civilians lost, both Israeli and Palestinian, Jewish and Arab. War is horrible. Like most Americans, I want the war to end. But also, like most Americans, I want a ceasefire only once the hostages are released and Hamas is removed from power. Calling for a simple ceasefire guarantees that Hamas remains in power and allows it to continue to plan its next attack on Israel. We should be calling for Hamas to release the hostages and put down its arms to allow a responsible Palestinian leadership to take control. I know you want to stand up for peace. So do I. The only chance for peace begins with the end of Hamas rule.
Jasmine Medoff. We know. On October 6th, there was a ceasefire. On October 7th, Hamas and thousands of civilians who followed after them bombed, raped, burned alive, tortured, and beheaded over 1,200 Israeli men, women, babies, and Holocaust survivors, and decimated much of southern Israel, committing actual genocide. They also took over 200 innocent people hostage in Gaza. Councilwoman Jones, I know you know, because I was in the room with you when you watched 47 minutes of Hamas's own video of the atrocities. Rania Masri, who spoke tonight, earlier she said October 7th was a beautiful day. And she has glorified Hamas terrorists, calling them heroes. Calling for an immediate ceasefire excuses the indiscriminate rape, murder, and torture of innocent Israelis, Jewish and not Jewish, and makes Jewish constituents feel threatened here at home. We should be calling for Hamas to release the hostages and put down its arms. Please do not allow the city council to be hijacked for these cynical, anti-Semitic aims, and please refocus your efforts on North Carolina.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ophir Karmi. I'm from Cary, North Carolina. I've been here 7 years. I love it here. I was an Israeli soldier, and I know that they never, ever told me and taught me how to kill innocent people. We are there to protect our people. They are there for their people to protect them. So Hamas needs to go. Ceasefire, it's not going to happen because we need to get rid of Hamas, and then it's going to be a ceasefire, and then it's going to be, I hope, peace. We are suffering exactly like they do. You know, we don't like all these people to die, but war is a war. Sorry.
Guys, please. Guys, please. Okay, go ahead. Hang on. Your time is also up, sir. Please. Okay. All right,
My name is Alan Smith. I come from a long line of Black Panthers and freedom fighters. I am here today to stand in place of those who have no voice. I'm here to keep the tradition of speaking up for freedom, and for so long, it has started with us and everyday people. Then it goes to you, the people in power, the people who have more of a voice for Raleigh, acknowledge the voices of the unheard, and see how their unheard stories and voices echo across the seas, echoes across mourning, echoes across and beyond the grave. This is a chance for the capital of one of the first states to stand with freedom. We need more than just a ceasefire. We need liberation.
My name is Hadil Hamoud, and I am the triangle organizer for Muslim Women 4. And you heard the previous speaker say, a war is a war. You've heard other speakers say they're just casualties, that this is just an international issue and you all should ignore this. I want to take a moment to ground ourselves in the vision of the City Council, which, to quote, says, to pursue world-class quality of life by actively collaborating with our community towards a fulfilling and inspired future for all. So as you sit here, know that more than 2/3 of the community, not the lies they say that the minority, over 2/3 of this community is telling you that it is impossible to attain that quality of life until the millions of our Palestinian siblings are free. That quality of life is impossible when you stay silent on Islamophobic, anti-Arab, anti-Semitic hatred fueling violence abroad and here at home. It is impossible to have that quality of life when the Raleigh police have a history of collaborating with the IDF, the same people that say these are just casualties, war is war. And you ignore this history. The city's vision for a fulfilling and inspired future is impossible if complicit.
My name is Dania. I was speaker number 68.
Yes, I've got you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Following through on my promise of making you sick of me, I would like to take the time to explain things in very simple terms since it's desperately needed for some of you. Asking for liberation does not mean we're asking to end all Jews, but the reason you might get that mixed up is because when Israel asks for the right to defend themselves, they just so happen to be relentlessly killing millions of people and children and animals. Calling for a ceasefire does not mean we support terrorists, but just means we are tired of watching innocent civilians die every day simply because they are Palestinian. Call for a ceasefire. That would release all hostages, including the Israeli hostages, whom we have witnessed their release and appear to be healthy and smiling as they dap up members of a so-called terrorist group.
Hang on. The speaker, if you don't agree, you're giving the speaker more time by interrupting. So please. Okay.
As they dap up members of a so-called terrorist group. Politics can sometimes be a place where you must abandon some of your personal values for the people's best interests. So if you could unalign your values with Jeffrey Epstein of all people to spare like millions of children, that would be extremely admirable.
If we could get the next set of names, please. It would start with Jim Rice. Thanks. If you see your name on the screen, please head to the podium. Any order is fine. Just please give your name when you get down there. Thank you.
My name is Jim Rice. I live in District E. I'm asking you to pass a resolution calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. You should do this because innocent civilians are being slaughtered in Gaza with weapons paid for with our tax dollars, while our government provides Israel the political support that allows it to continue. Citizens of Raleigh mourned family members killed in Gaza by our bombs and fear for those still at risk of attack while experiencing a humanitarian catastrophe engineered by Israel. As individuals and as a community, we're obligated to speak out against this. Silence is complicity. More senseless death and destruction will not bring us any closer to peace and security for Israelis or Palestinians. Only when this carnage stops can negotiations begin to end the occupation and forge a just and lasting peace in Israel and Palestine.
My name is Rose, but tonight I am here as Rose and Riot. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a drag performer who works at venues here in Raleigh. I have heard too many people use my queer identity as a justification for genocide, saying that Palestinians deserve what is happening to them because of the lack of progress on queer issues there. As a queer person, I condemn this talking point. No human being deserves carpet bombing for their stances on social issues. And if people do deserve carpet bombing for holding outdated views, then that isn't very promising for Americans. Every hate group I've faced as a drag performer has been from this country, but we would never carpet bomb a town like, Wendell, just to kill a Proud Boy, let alone a Hamas member. It's a ridiculous argument. And yet American tax dollars fund Israel's war crimes in Palestine based on that lack of logic. You cannot be complicit in this genocide. It's overdue, but Raleigh can do.
Thank you. Also, before we start, the media folks told me that when speakers are grabbing and holding onto the mic, the last speaker didn't do this, but when speakers are grabbing and holding onto the mic, it's causing interference and folks at home can't hear you. So please just keep that in mind. Go ahead.
I have something for the council.
You can give it to the clerk.
Hi, my name is Asma, and I'm not funded by Hamas. I'm a social worker and a therapist. Today, I want to tell you what our tax money and your silence is doing to real human beings in Gaza. I am personally trying to help evacuate Jude, a 2-year-old boy from Gaza, for urgent medical treatment before his leg is amputated. Our tax money funded the tank shell that was randomly hitting his family's house. His mother was killed immediately, killed alongside with 4 of his aunts. He is mentally and physically injured because of our tax money, and that is funding a genocide, and your silence enabling it. Per Save the Children, every day, more than 10 children lose a limb in Gaza. We already lost 12,000 children in Gaza. Never again is not for some, it's for everyone. Ceasefire now.
I am Cindy Rice, Raleigh resident for 38 years, District E. Please sign the ceasefire resolution. Stopping the carnage is the first step towards peace. I do not want one more Israeli or Palestinian killed. Until 20 years ago, I never questioned my support for Israel. Then I got curious as to why the Palestinians were so angry. I started reading books written by Christian theologians, attending lectures given by Jews, Muslims, and Christians. I finally went to Israel and the West Bank and met with peace activists on both sides of the wall. After 25 years of learning, 20 years, I am compelled to say this occupation of Israel over Palestine must be carefully but quickly dismantled. I will be proud of my city for taking a stand on this humanitarian and national security issue. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
My name is Arnon. 300,000 children died in Nigeria. I didn't hear anybody coming out and talking about that here. Where's the racial justice there? What about Yemen? 250,000, 500,000 Syrians. Why is that okay? Why didn't the council talk about that? Why didn't the people here care about that? Now because it's Jewish? Because it's the Israeli state? Why? So I have one question for all the people here. I'm hearing a lot of passion from both sides, and I'm one of those sides. But instead of that, let's work together in this city to do things better, to improve things here. We're not going to change something that's happening on the other side right now, but we can make it a difference in 15 years' time if we work together here to make it better. So stop blaming each other and saying, you do this, you do that. Work together and care about everybody, not just about one person or one kid because he's Palestinian or Israeli. Care about all of them. The Nigerians, where were you? The Houthis.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Reem Mohammed. This didn't start on October 7th. Palestinians have been living through too many massacres. We have about 24 massacres in Palestine. It started with Haifa. It started with Jerusalem. It started with another one in Haifa for 1938. Balad al-Sheikh, 1939. Haifa again, 1939. Haifa again, 1947. Abu Abbasi massacre, 1947. El-Khanas massacre, 1947. Bab el-Hamud, 1947. Jerusalem again, 1947. Sheikh al-Barrach, 1947. Haifa, 1948. Jerusalem, 1967. Sabra and Shatila, 1982. Al-Aqsa Massacre, 1990. Ibrahim and Mosque Massacre.
And that should be everyone from that set of speakers. If we could get the next group on the screen, please. Thank you. If you see your name, please come on down.
My name is Nadim Jabrail. I'd like to start with a quote by J.R.R. Tolkien. There is no such thing as a natural death. Nothing that happens to a man is ever natural. Since his presence calls the world into question, all men must die. But for every man, his death is an accident, and, even if he knows it and consents to it, an unjustifiable violation. Every time I've come here to speak, I've asked for Palestinian rights. I'm a Lebanese citizen. My country has also been bombed for 100 days. The Israeli people are also in pain. There's a lot of pain in this room. I can feel it. I've been tense. I've been struggling, sitting down there, listening and feeling it. Is this how we resolve conflicts? Is this how we deal with each other? It's not you or me. It's us, the people.
I am Sue Woodling, and I am going to be very brief because so much of what I would say has already been said. I think we need to realize that silence is complicity, and empty calls for peace without any direct action are all under the banner of complicity. So we need to take action. Palestinians are experiencing occupation. It is time to decolonize Palestine so they can live in dignity and reach their full potential. Without international pressure from nations like ours, the occupation and its attendant injustices will not end. It is time we really look and actually ask for a ceasefire and to end the U.S. funding for Israeli military.
I have something for the council. I'm Ahmed Altiya. I'm number 87. Okay. Last week, Mu'taz Aziza, the brave journalist documenting the genocide in Gaza, was interviewed on NBC. When asked if he had a message for the American people, he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "Don't call yourself a free people if you can't make change. Don't call yourself a free person if you allow genocide." When 27 of our 50 states have passed anti-boycott legislation, making it illegal to boycott Israel, how can we call ourselves a free people? When millions of people have protested in the streets, calling for a ceasefire, when people are losing their jobs for speaking out against the occupation, when our government ignores our voices and bypasses Congress to sell over $100 million worth of weapons to Israel and bombs Yemen, how can we call ourselves a free people? I stand here asking our council to make the change necessary, to hear our voices, and to call for an immediate ceasefire. Thank you.
Fatma Shahid, 86.
So you canceled this meeting last week because of a storm. You realize the danger of a storm and a tornado, but you don't for safety, but you don't realize the danger of a genocide. You don't realize the danger of 2 million people sleeping in rain puddles, in tents and in streets during similar storms. Your double standards are really skyrocketing. You don't realize the danger of every day passing without a ceasefire. Only on Thursday afternoon, 9 of my cousins were murdered, including Ahmed. Ahmed and I grew up together. He was seeking shelter at our house with his family, but they went to get more supplies. They were murdered while trying to go rescue bodies and injured people on the street. Israel saw that Ahmed was running to rescue injured people and they killed him. My last conversation with Ahmed was us dreaming about having our favorite winter meal together again. We will never. Due to officials like you who sat down, and the moment they sat down on these chairs, lost their humanities and their morals. This child will never have their favorite meal again.
Is speaker number 82 here, or 84? Anyone else on the list not had an opportunity? Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm O Stone. The signing of this ceasefire resolution has never been morally complex. In the same way that providing your signature advocates for peace, abstaining from doing so advocates for unspeakable violence. Council members Melton, Forte, and Branch, you are choosing every day to support a genocide. The Israeli Holocaust scholar Raz Segal declared the state of Israel's assault on Gaza as a textbook case of genocide, and he made this claim on the 16th of October last year. The violence has only expanded and deepened to an unimaginable degree in the 3 months since then. Over 30,000 human beings murdered, 1.9 million displaced, 56% of all structures in Gaza completely destroyed, and critical transportation and health infrastructure purposely crippled. There can never be justification for this brutality. Whatever you think you may risk by signing a ceasefire resolution, I can promise you that it is completely incomparable to what thousands of Palestinians have lost in just the last 24 hours. Call for a ceasefire now. Free Palestine.
90, right? We're on 90 now, right?
What?
Are we on the 90?
Oh, it's if your name's on the screen, it just come on down. Any order is fine. Go ahead.
All right. So my name is Hussam, and I'm here to call for a ceasefire. Of 186 countries, 153 countries in the world voted in favor of the ceasefire. 10 voted against it. America was one of the 10 that voted against it. Somehow, America is right, and the rest of the world is wrong. According to Amnesty International, Israel has been controlling the water flow into Gaza. According to the Messenger, it has been illegal for people in West Bank to even collect rainwater since 1967. According to the UN, prior to October 7th, in Gaza, each household was receiving 80 liters of water per day. The minimum requirement for adequate living standard, according to the WHO, is 100 liters per day. As of today, those in the southern strip of Gaza are only accessing 1.5 to 2 liters of water per day. And as of today, 335,000 plus children under 5 years old are malnourished. It's time for our elected representatives to hear the real American sentiments. Lack thereof will force us to elect those.
My name is Wayne Turner from the North Carolina Green Party. I'm here first to say that I am not currently, nor have I ever been paid by Hamas. I want to address the issue of Israeli hostages in Palestine. Israel wants the remaining hostages in Gaza to be viewed as justification for killing civilians in Gaza, assaults in the West Bank, and assassinations in Lebanon. Everyone is aware of the imbalance between Palestinian and Israeli casualties. As quoted in The Guardian on November 27th, Israel has arrested an additional 3,260 Palestinians, including 120 women and more than 200 children since 7th of October. This raises the number of Palestinians in Israeli jails to 7,900. I submit that each of these people are hostages and that Israel views these people as leverage. The IDF has shown its willingness to kill hostages in Gaza with bombs and bullets. Clearly, the hostages are not a good reason for Israel to cease its mass.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Yisrael Kotler. I'm not going to comment directly on the language of the resolution. I think the sponsors know quite well its one-sided nature, completely ignoring the atrocities of October 7th. If they wanted a ceasefire, the only ceasefire would include the surrender of Hamas. But instead, I want to give you advice I got once as a young rabbi from a mentor, and that is stay laser-focused on your mission, because when you exchange your mission for something else, you waste valuable time needed for your job, and you're carrying extra weight and baggage on something that you're really not equipped to do anything about anyways. The role of this council is to protect the citizens of Raleigh, make the city better for all of us, that even if there's disagreement elsewhere in the world, it won't spill into our streets. So I can assure you, regardless of how you feel about the conflict, this resolution will not do anything in a concrete way here. Sadly, it can do a lot of harm in pitting Raleigh citizens one against another, making members of my community afraid to identify. It can do a lot of harm.
Okay, our speakers 88 and 89 here. Anyone else whose name on the screen right now that has not come to the podium? Okay, we'll get the next set, please. And then again, when you see your name on the screen, please just come down. Any order is fine, and just give your name before you start speaking, and then we'll start your time. Thank you.
My name is Laura Harris, number 94. I'm from District D. I'm speaking in support of the ceasefire resolution. I decry this speaking limit. Y'all could have spread this out over 2 days if y'all really wanted. Clearly, y'all don't. But I digress. Just as you see tent cities in Palestine, so too you see tent cities here in Raleigh. Just as are displaced Palestinians, so too are there displaced people in Raleigh being forced out of downtown. Just as our people in Palestine forced to live in poverty and fear, so too are people in Raleigh living without a roof over their heads and out in the cold right now. The mayor signed a proclamation last year for a homeless person's Memorial Day. This empty gesture does nothing to actually help the lives of homeless people in Raleigh. And making empty statements about being sorry about the loss of life in Palestine does nothing to help the thousands of Palestinians whose lives are currently in mortal danger. But widespread and intense pressure can. Ceasefire now. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Hi, I'm number 98. So much to say, so little time, literally. Since the time allotted for each speaker has been drastically reduced, I've decided to present some pictures, and I'll let the pictures speak for me. It's not working.
Could you hold the clock, please?
Thank you, Jonathan.
You just have to click the play.
I did.
I'll do it.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, start the clock.
So much to say, so little time. This is a snake that I found in my garage.
What's your message to City Council?
People say, get a job. Okay, well, if I had somewhere to rest my head where my stuff wasn't stolen, where I didn't have to worry about blankets, where I didn't have to worry about food, I might be able to get a job.
I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. What would happen if I were to ignore that cancer? I would have died. Please speak up, City Council.
I have something for the council. Good evening, council. My name is Ibrahim Henson. Been a resident of Raleigh for about 8 years, resident of North Carolina my entire life. This is more so directed towards the attorneys on the council. We have Jonathan, we have Stormy. I want to get you guys' opinions on Ronald Lamola's case at the ICJ. I want to get your opinion on Adila Hassim's case of John Dugar. Our brothers and sisters of South Africa, they're putting in work well above your pay grade, well above anyone's punching weight here. Call for the ceasefire, don't call for the ceasefire. The global community will move past the need for an apartheid in the Middle East, just like they didn't need an apartheid for South Africa. We don't need to keep sending these guys bombs. We'll continue to BDS every business I see, because none of this is normal. None of it will ever be normal. Call for the resolution, don't call for the resolution. The global community will move past you guys, it really will. The representative of my district has already voted in favor of the resolution. There's no need for me to be here. We'll move past you guys. Close.
99 Phyllis Gritz. Respectively, I asked our city council, where are our moralist, human rights-focused, anti-Israel activists when it's Arabs killing Arabs and other minorities? And I'll just name a few examples from the last 10 years. Where were these anti-Israel activists when uprisings were violently suppressed during the Arab Spring, killing thousands and effectively destroying any chances of democracy in the 22 Arab states? Where were they when Bashir Assad of Syria barrel-bombed and gassed his civilian population, killing 600,000 of his own Muslim people? Where were these anti-Israel activists when ISIS rampaged through Syria and Iraq, beheading and raping everyone in its path, including the non-Muslim Yazidis and Kurds? Where were they when the Iran-sponsored Houthis started a civil war in Yemen in the last few years, killing over 250,000 people? They weren't here. So I pose this question. Why, only when it's about Jews in Israel, do they mobilize in mass, bullying local governments, wasting valuable time and resources? I'll let our Heritage City Council.
Thank you very much. If you could, sir, are you on the, I think that should be everyone from this list except number 96 and 97.
I'm number 100.
Okay, you've got good eyes. If we could scroll up to, that's what I thought. Okay, if we could start at number 100, scroll. Okay, there we go. If your name's on the screen, please go ahead and head down. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Mike Ross, Raleigh resident. The hatred in this room is palpable as we are forced to deal with an issue unrelated to city governance. I think we all here truly mourn the deaths of any innocents in Gaza. But it is Hamas which forces Gazans to be human shields and then leverages their misery to condemn Israel. It is Hamas which has broken previous ceasefires and has pledged to repeat its atrocities. Hamas enablers in this forum are cynically using Hamas engineered suffering of Gazans to demonize Israel and its supporters. The horrible bloodshed could end forever if the Israel haters would just choose to cherish the lives and well-being of their own people more than they hate Israel and the Jewish presence anywhere. They have brought this rancor and division before you. I beseech you, do not support their agenda. Doing so would only reinforce and justify the epidemic Jewish hatred, the Jewish hatred we are with.
Thank you. Yo, hang on. I'm letting everybody finish their sentence, and if they go on past that, I will certainly gavel down, but I don't need y'all to scream time, okay? I'm gonna let every speaker at least finish their thought. Everybody, all right? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Orna Droas. Like most of you here today, I hate seeing women and children killed. I condemn hatred of any kind against any people. I would like this war to end, and mostly I wish for ongoing peace in the Middle East. How can we achieve this? How can we stop the killing of innocent people? There's only one answer. Hamas must release the hostages and put down their guns. If Hamas puts down their guns, Israel will stop bombing. However, if Israel puts down their guns, Hamas will continue to kill until they have killed all Jewish babies, children, men, and women. Remember, there was actually a ceasefire in place on the morning of October 7th when Hamas decided to attack Israel, kill families, rape women, and kidnap innocent people. Hamas has pledged to never stop until every Jew is dead, and I believe them.
My name is Kenza Takio. Israel said that the death count of Palestinians since October 7th was inaccurate. It was a lie. The Public Ministry of Health published a list of each Palestinian that had died. They claimed that the missiles that attacked El Shifa Hospital on October 10th was initiated by Hamas. That was a lie. New York Times proved it to be Israeli shelling. Israel said that they were targeting Hamas members in Lebanon. It was a lie. One of the attacks was on a grandmother, mother, and her 3 daughters. Israel claims that the reasons for their attacks is to simply eradicate Hamas. That is also a lie. Meanwhile, Israel initiates attacks on El Shifa, Embel City, El Ahil hospitals, and more, which killed over 375 healthcare workers and even more patients. That is a fact. And over 65,000 tons of explosives were dropped on Gaza, which killed around 30,000 Palestinians, almost half being children, and destroyed over 70% of homes, leaving almost 2 million displaced. That is a fact. They lie to the people because that's what sticks to the mind. But I've just listed out the facts for you. Your silence to the lies and terror Israel spreads will stick to our minds. Thank you.
Michelle Brown. People tonight have advocated that the current approach will lead to the eradication of Hamas or to peace, and I want to explain why the approach will lead to neither. The IDF aims to completely eradicate Hamas and estimates that Hamas is currently comprised of 30,000 members. In the past 3 months, the IDF has killed 8,000 Hamas members. Continuing at this rate, it would take the IDF roughly 356 days to eradicate currently existing Hamas members. However, according to the IDF spokesman, they've killed 2 civilians per Hamas death, meaning they would need to kill 60,000 civilians over the next year, leaving at least 60,000 people to mourn loved ones. Where do you think they'll turn, and what beliefs might they adopt? As they search for new homes, both political and familial, this approach will not yield to the eradication of Hamas, but instead further build their movement. And this unfocused violence will not yield to peace. Even if Hamas surrenders, Israel's violence against Palestinians will continue. Ceasefire now.
I'm Barry Block. I'm a United States Navy veteran. Thank you for holding this hearing. Respectfully, this council should not consider any resolution on the Gaza war because this council lacks constitutional and statutory authority to adopt any resolution on foreign issues. You have sworn an oath to uphold and maintain the United States Constitution and its 2nd and 3rd articles reserve authority over the foreign relations of the United States to the President and Congress. General Statute Chapter 160A grants this council no authority to conduct foreign relations. The proposed resolution is a public action, not private speech. Each of you has the right, as we all do, to express our own views. However, the Supreme Court has held that cities have no right to freedom of speech because the First Amendment protects private speech. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kauthar Assad. To all the parents here, think of a time when you had to quickly run to the store, so you left your child with your spouse at home and didn't think twice about it. Would it have ever crossed your mind that you come back and find that your house, the place you thought was a safe space for your child, was bombed and your child and spouse were killed? This is someone's reality. A father in Gaza quickly went to the store to pick up biscuits for his son, and when he came back, the house he had thought was a safe space was bombed that he had sought refuge in because Israel had said it was a safe area was bombed by Israel, killing his baby son and wife. He held his baby's lifeless hand and put the biscuits in his hand while crying and saying, "Take these biscuits with you to heaven." If this was your child, wouldn't you be yelling to the world, begging for people to hear you and help you? Do our children not deserve the same rights and comfort as your children? They are not desensitized to bombs and destructions just because they happen to be born there instead of here. We had a children's march where the kids of your city were begging for a ceasefire. Children shouldn't have to beg you to do what's right, just like children shouldn't fight to survive every day. They deserve to be as safe as your kids. Will you not do what's right and fear that, God forbid, your children in such a horrible position?
Okay, thank you, thank you. That should be everyone from that group. I see someone approaching. Are you on the second set of names that are coming up now?
Number 106, Lael Blass.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
A lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth can even put on its shoes.
Hang on just 1 second. There's a lot of noise coming from the audience. If we could please be quiet. Yeah, and officers, if there's any particular individual causing disruption, if you could please just escort them out. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. We'll start over. Go ahead.
A lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth can even put on its shoes. We've seen tonight a complete mischaracterization of the state of Israel. Israel has been repeatedly attacked and has had its existence denied to it by the Islamic world with political isolation, warfare, and countless terrorist attacks. In their refusal to recognize Israel, the Arab world created the Palestinian refugee crisis using innocence as gambling chips and creating the complex and painful political situation that Israel and Palestinians find themselves in today. Remind yourself that Israel withdrew from the Gaza Strip in 2005, leaving behind billions of dollars of infrastructure that were then repurposed for war against Israel. This proposal represents a larger political agenda to isolate and unjustly demonize the singular Jewish state and instead heightens the voices that call for Israel and the Jewish people's destruction. Condemnation of Israel is condemnation of our community. That is why you should vote no to this resolution. Stand up for our Jewish community here and Jewish communities around the country. Do not pass this resolution.
My name is Mohammed. My mama's hummus might fund me.
If you could you just hang on once? I'm sorry. There's a lot of noise again. Okay, individuals in the crowd, if you are causing a disruption, you are going to be removed because I don't want the folks who are. I understand, officers. If you could just please try to assist over here. I want everyone to be able to be heard, and we can't let a few folks cause the meeting to end. We're going to continue, but we got to make sure everyone's being respectful of each other's time, even if we don't agree. Please, thank you.
My name is Mohammed. Did you know in 2009, basic goods like books, candles, notebooks, and crayons were banned in Gaza by Israel? Did you know in 2016, chocolates, vinegars, potato chips, newspapers, sewing machines, and heaters were added to that list of prohibited items? And in 2018, bottles, diapers, soaps, and wedding dresses faced bans imposed by Israel on the Gazan people. Did you know Israel even controls the collection of rainwater throughout Palestine while controlling their water and electricity through piping? Did you know that Israel imposes over 300 checkpoints and labels Palestinians under 3 different colors? At these checkpoints, men are stripped, little girls are patted down. Now I ask you, where do you see self-defense in chocolate being taken away from children? Books from children, crayons from children, diapers from children, from the population that is 50% children. Where is their self-defense in taking wedding dresses from new brides, water from families? How can we all sit here today and debate whether these people can go back to their oppressed lives? That is the bare minimum. Free Palestine.
Hello, my name is Jenin. Jenin, named after a city in Palestine. Jenin, located in the West Bank where one of the youngest Palestinian boys was released from Israeli prison after being shot in the head 30 times and survived with half of his skull missing. I was named after the city in Palestine in 2002 after Israeli forces decided to go on a killing spree and kill 52 Palestinians in Jenin. Massacre after massacre, war crime after war crime. Zionists attempt to spew propaganda and convince the world that their heinous crimes are not crimes and that they are the most moral army in the world. The most moral army that celebrates our death. The army that says, I murdered a 12-year-old girl because there were no babies left. These are the type of people you support. We ended 2023 with Palestinians being bombed on Christmas, your beloved holiday that so many of you cherish so much, your holiday that you celebrated while the birthplace of Jesus was being bombed. Your lack of care for the 30,000 plus lives lost is disgusting, and we will not forget it. Ceasefire now and free Palestine.
109, Jessica Navarro Lubiano. My name is Jessica. I'm a North Carolinian native, and I stand before you as a concerned resident of the Triad. We've come over and over and over again asking you to pass a permanent ceasefire resolution, and your denial to do so frightens me. Your denial on the ground that this is an international issue says to me you do not care for anything unless it happens to you. You won't stand with Palestine because it is not your family being bombed in the streets. It is not your children whose limbs are being amputated without anesthesia. It is not your father holding his dead daughter. It is not your son crying over his martyred mother. How shameful to not see that the Palestinian cause is not just for Palestinians, it's for humanity. The Zionist ideals have brainwashed the people of the world to believe saying free Palestine is an attack against the Jewish people. Zionists are so frightened of a free Palestine because their very existence relies on the oppression of the Palestinian people, and to even consider a free Palestine means that they question what happens to them. If your existence is so reliant on the oppression of others, must we not all question why? I ask for you to free Palestine today, forever, and pass a permanent ceasefire resolution now. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from this list? Speakers 110 and 111? 111. Thank you.
I'll wait for 110.
They may not be here, but you can go ahead. And
Not a bride. My daughter couldn't come. It was late. She's a Girl Scout. She wanted to thank everyone on staff. And I know you got a cookie hook up there, but this is for you guys. She wanted me to give her a QR code, but I said that's not fair. So thank you. Again, not a bribe. I'm not sure if my presentation was set. I know I had technical difficulties, so
presentation?
Yeah, but if it's not there, I don't mind.
Do we have one for Speaker 111? They said they don't have it.
That's fine.
You can also email it to us.
Yeah,
as well.
I'll do that. Well, you'll hear why I can't email. When do I start? You're ready to start.
No.
Sarah Cordery, New Yorker, 10-year Raleigh resident, speaking now unafraid of Guantanamo Bay, and I am not Hamas or a terrorist. Gaza can't breathe, get medical help. Over 30,000 civilians murdered by IDF and US. Over 120 journalists killed. Didn't get my Wear the Press sweatshirt, but I'm representing press with this blue today. I'm inconvenienced by shipping delays, but U.S. and their coalition wants to bomb Yemen in a collective punishment, just like IDF in Palestine. Don't forget Lebanon and Egypt. All of my Girl Scout families are personally affected from these countries. Lama Jamous is a 9-year-old Gazan journalist, the same age as my daughter. She has over 700K followers. I'm censored with just 300 followers. Why, Meta? Why are you censoring me? My email's docs. Couldn't send my presentation today. I will not be intimidated. Stop militarization of RPD and IDF forever. Let's have heart program. Lama showed children asking to stop the war. She's Anne Franklin diary live now. U.S. reservists.
Okay.
I just want to say I have family. Affects us locally. It affects us.
Okay, thank you. Is Speaker 110 here? Okay, we'll get the next set,
Sorry.
please.
I printed out some paper.
Yeah, you could give it to the clerk. Thank you.
And I'll email it.
Thank you. Okay, again, if you see your name on the screen, please go ahead and come down to the podium. The order, any order is fine.
Joida Siasi. I am a Raleigh Wake Forest resident. I'm a practicing attorney. Last Sunday marked 100 days since Israel's unleashed unfathomable genocidal violence against Palestinians in Gaza. It is tragically the first globally watched genocide in history. It is ongoing as we speak. It is being committed in the open with complete impunity to a deafening silence of the international community. The statistics are both staggering and tragic. Over 30,000 people killed in Gaza, 10,000 children killed. Let me repeat that number. 10,000 children killed in Gaza. There is a heartbreaking new acronym in Gaza, WCNSF. It stands for Wounded Child, No Surviving Family. These are the orphans of Gaza. People on brink of starvation. Ceasefire now.
Respected members of the City Council, I stand here before you today not as a
If you could just hold on one second. Could you give me your name first?
I'm
We'll
sorry.
restart your clock.
John Ernst, 114.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
I stand before you today not as a seasoned speaker or as a regular participant in local government, but as a concerned citizen of North Raleigh. This is my first time addressing such a gathering, prompted by a deep conviction about the unfolding crisis in Gaza. This conflict, I fear, will be etched in history as a grave atrocity. Our city is known for its empathy and inclusivity and must not be a silent spectator. By supporting a ceasefire, we underline our commitment to peace, justice, and human rights. Let us ensure every voice is heard, fostering unity amid the differences. Despite disagreements, we remain unified as a community. Let's initiate a ripple of peace, starting from Raleigh and reaching out globally. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Rabbi Mendy Wolshansky, 118. Hi, I'm here representing my community from the Jewish Life Center, Congregation Shari Israel, Chabad of Raleigh. I'm a resident, and I'm here to speak against the proposed pro-Hamas resolution on behalf of my community, my brothers, my grandparents, my sisters, and my personal family in Israel. It would be a major mistake and painful to me and the Jewish community I represent for our city to officially adopt an anti-Semitic resolution. The basic test that something is anti-Semitic is when you treat Jews differently. If your children were held by a terrorist group, would you demand that America abandon them? Demanding that of Israel is anti-Semitism. The only just resolution right now is for Hamas to surrender and return the hostages. This current resolution is one that gives a free pass to terrorists and only stands to add fuel to the flame of anti-Semitism that is on a terrifying rise all around the world and here in Raleigh. When taking a look at the language of the bill, calls for a permanent ceasefire. The ceasefire was until October 7th. Being merciful to the merciless Hamas is only being merciless to those who deserve our mercy. As a city of Raleigh, and many important pressing issues to take care of.
Thank you. Is there anyone else whose name on the screen that is here that hasn't spoken yet? Number 112, 113, 115, 116. Okay, we'll get the next group up, please. We'll start with number 119. Thank you. Anyone whose name on the screen, please come down. We'll start the list at 119. Thank you.
Not sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Ahmed Khalil, and I'm here because this is actually an obvious
Could you hang on
question.
just 1 second? I'm sorry. It's okay. That's all right. We'll just let everyone get a second to get settled. And what number were you on this list?
I'm 124.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So it is a complex history, but it is an obvious question. We're not asking for sending weapons to Hamas. We're asking for stop sending weapons to Israel to kill babies and children. So it's very clear what we're asking for. And why should you care, the city of Raleigh? Why should you care? Because why does South Africa care? They care because they realize If we allow injustice to happen in the world and we don't care because we're so privileged, we are going to pay the price later. The price is going to come back and hurt us. We are going to be here in the US hurt by continuing to ignore the effect that our tax dollars is doing to children. If we continue to ignore that, if you don't even send a message to the federal government, yes, we are the city of Raleigh, but we send a message to the federal government to say we are not supporting sending our tax dollars to kill children. Thank you.
Cassidy, you got more stuff going.
Stephen Bader, number 119. I'm Jewish, and I'm for an immediate ceasefire. From third grade till 11th grade, I was one of 5 kids in synagogue for every Friday night Sabbath. I made bar mitzvah and confirmation. I absorbed the prayers for justice. Israel's slaughter of over 23,000 people is not justice. I visited Nazi extermination camps, looked into gas chambers and crematoriums. I felt outraged at what had been done to 11 million people, with too few people doing too little to stop it. Perhaps not enough city council not passing resolutions to stop the Holocaust. South Africa's case of genocide against Israel's actions in Gaza has dozens of quotes from Israeli leaders showing genocidal intent. Just one: the north of the Gaza Strip, more beautiful than ever. Everything is blown up, flattened, simply a pleasure for the eyes. There is no such thing as uninvolved citizens of Gaza. There are some lies being told. The Jews that have spoke tonight do not speak for all Jews. They don't speak for me, and there's thousands of Jews they don't speak for.
My name is Marley Bryant. I was born and raised, and I go to school here in Raleigh. It's within the council's power to condemn all the brutality that we see before our eyes and call for a ceasefire, just as city councils throughout the U.S. have been doing for months now. If the months of protests and demands made by members of our community is met with silence from the council, this will definitely reflect in the polls. I turn 18 this year and I'll be able to vote in the next elections. The continued inaction on the part of the council after 100 days of genocide makes me and many of my peers question whether y'all are actually listening to the people you're supposed to represent, or instead kowtowing to the tiny, bloodthirsty minority who find any condemnation of the forced displacement and murder of millions disagreeable and divisive. I also find it amazing that while as our neighbors are telling the stories of their families who are killed by the IDF, individuals are holding up signs calling their stories lies. If this doesn't personify the evil, dehumanizing ideology that underscores this genocide, I don't know what does. Thank you.
I'm Helen Tart, number 121. If you really want to make a difference, folks, take this recording. Take the recording of the last council meeting and send it to Senators Budd and Tillis. Okay, but that is not what I came here to talk about. I have a very simple request to the council to consider helping pay for electric vehicle chargers in small, in the same areas where you pay for facade upgrades in the city. That, and even consider solar panels. That, because in another 10 years, thank you.
Thank you.
Abdullah Khadra. Peace be with you all. I like to assure our Jewish brothers and sisters that Islam taught us to be good with Jews and live with Jews and all others peacefully. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, taught his companions. One of them, he came back home and he found his family slaughtered a lamb. He said, "Did you gift some to our Jewish neighbor?" So we need to deal with those terrorists in the Zionist government who said, one of them said, a minister in the current government, he said, dropping a nuclear bomb is an option. For you, brothers and sisters in this council, listen to what South Africa president said. He said, some people say that the step we are taking is risky. We are a small country and we have a small economy. They can attack us, but we will stand by our principles as the father of our democracy taught us. We will not be truly free until the Palestinian people are free. Bernie Sanders said that with American military aid, children are starving to death. Is to me, I just don't know what adjectives I can use. It's disgraceful. And I think I'm not the only one who feels that. I hope you laser focus on your eternal life.
Okay, thank you. Understood. Thank you. Is speaker 120 here? 120? Anyone else in the room whose name's on the screen? Okay, we'll go to the next group, please. Thank you. Thank you. Again, if you see your name on the screen, please go ahead and head down to the podium. Any order is fine. Please just give me your name once you're down here. Thank you.
My name is Kelly Ramirez. Some of my family members were victims of Nazi gas chambers. Not only do I object to this because there are local issues that our Raleigh City Council should focus on instead of international affairs, but because Hamas are the Nazis of today, spreading lies and promoting violence against Jews. Hamas is the oppressor of Palestinians, not Israel. Multiple times, Israel has offered land for peace, but Palestine has always refused. In Israel, Arabs and Muslims coexist peacefully with Jews. Why can we here in Raleigh not do the same? Jewish lives matter. We either mean never again or we don't. As for me and my household, we do.
Zainab Bloch, I have a presentation.
Okay, just 1 second. It's can you come over and he has a question. I don't know that they have it. Did you send it to the city council email? Yeah. It may have not, it has to go to them, so we may not have it. Is there anyone else who was on the list that wants to come forward while we, oh, the list is gone. Could you put it back up real quick? We're going to locate that speaker's presentation, so if anyone else whose name is on the screen wants to come forward, we'll go ahead and, okay.
Mohammed Kenaway, 127. Children in Gaza are enduring trauma of the lack of sleep. The kids haven't had a night's sleep for 3 months. They're so scared of the continuous bombardment. They experience cardiac arrest. So they're not only having no night's sleep, but also they're actually literally dying from fear. I'm calling for immediate ceasefire in Gaza along thousands and thousands in the whole and in the city. Gaza deserves to live in peace, free from horrors of war. The reason we're talking about Gaza here, because America does send missiles to Israel to help that bombardment. So free Gaza, free Palestine.
Thank you. Is there anyone else whose name's on the screen in the room? So 125, 126, or 1:30. Were you able to get it or no? Okay. Okay. Do you want to go ahead and talk, or do you want to give him a minute to? Okay, let's go ahead and put the next set of names up, and if we're able to find it, if not, we'll just have you come speak after he's spent a few minutes looking. Thank you. Okay. All right, if you see your name on the screen, please go ahead and head down.
Hello, my name is Amjad Siam. To the lady that said that Muslims and Jews live equal in Israel, please come with me to the West Bank and maybe you'll change your mind. I don't know. Some of the comments in this room would have you think that every Palestinian, Christian or Muslim, wants to go after all the Jews. I just want to say that, there was one time where Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived in Jerusalem in peace, and that was before Zionism materialized in a state in 1948. I urge you actually to call for a ceasefire now, but I think that's just a step. I urge you to call for an end to the Zionist occupation, which is the real solution. Muslims, Christians, and Jews can live side by side again, and there's no need for resistance if there isn't an occupation. Even Hamas, they come and say Hamas and Hamas. They're calling for, they believe in Muslims, Christians, and Jews living side by side too.
Okay, thank you. Folks in the audience, please. Thank you. Hang on a second. I can't let the next speaker cannot start talking until it's quiet, so please. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Raleigh City Council and Raleigh citizens. My name is Whitney Hill. I'm in North Raleigh, District A. I believe that the City Council has no business getting wrapped up in foreign affairs issues across the globe. The City of Raleigh is not a State Department and does not have the expertise to be one. This is best left up to our State Department in our federal government and independent organizations. Time spent on the Hamas-Israeli conflict is distracting from escalating issues in Raleigh, such as housing shortage, rising crime, while stoking a flame of discontent with radical entities that are not going to be pacified. Please focus on the valuable time of the council planning operations and issues of the city of Raleigh and leave State Department issues to our experts in the federal government. Thank you.
Again, if your name is on the screen, please go ahead and head down. Thank you.
Hi, council members. I'm Chris Servicki. Let's see. Sorry. There's over 10,000 children already all over here. You see in the pictures, gone. Self-defense is not an excuse. Silence is not neutrality when children are being murdered. This is not a complex issue. It hasn't been for a while. You already have precedent. The International Court of Justice has already had hearings on charges of genocide this past week. I want to thank Christina, Mary, Megan, Jane for taking a stand on this issue. Jane, I'm in your district, so I'm very appreciative of your words of support. I've lived in Raleigh here for over 20 years. I've been born in Charlotte. I don't have any family member out there, but you don't need that to understand that this is wrong and has to be called for a ceasefire right now. That's all my time.
I think they're ready for your presentation.
Zainab Baloch, it's important to get some history on this genocide because it didn't start on October 7th. The first Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic, was in 1945, where over 1,000 plus cities and towns were ethnically cleansed from Palestine, which continues until today. You can see since 1948, almost 4 million Jews were granted citizenship into Israel, at the same time forcibly displacing almost 2 million Palestinians. Not only have people been displaced, their homes have also been destroyed by these colonists. Since October 7th, 70% of Palestinian homes have been destroyed. There is no neutral position on genocide, especially when our tax dollars are funding it. Our tax money is going to occupy and kill Palestinians when instead it could be used for the much-needed housing and climate crises that needs addressing here. Council cannot continue to stay quiet on this genocide. The mayor has already chosen to be pro-genocide. Corey, Stormy, and Jonathan, I ask you to take a more humane moral stance. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 130, 132, and 134, if you're here, please go ahead and head down. Okay, we'll get the next group of speakers, please. Okay, if you see your name on the screen, please just head down in any order and just give your name at the podium. Thank you.
Number 136, Catherine Altrich. Thanks. I'm a proud resident of Raleigh in my first year of social work school. In school, we learn about the cycle of abuse and violence on a familiar level, but we don't speak enough about how our government depends on the same cycle to function. From its inception, the US government has committed genocide after genocide, working hard to convince its citizens and those that it relentlessly oppresses that not only are the most horrific crimes against humanity normal, but that they are also just. But we can break the cycle. You can break the cycle. We can refuse to take the mantle of abuse handed to us as citizens and residents of the United States by fighting for the liberation of all oppressed people on our soil and afar. Free Palestine, ceasefire resolution now.
My name is Lahari. I'm a citizen of Raleigh, District E. I can't help but express my disappointment at the lack of solidarity from the remaining 3 members of council, Stormy, Corey, and Jonathan, who are all a part of oppressed groups in America. Palestine's history and present aren't unlike our own. The same excuses are made to pillage and colonize. We are barbarians, savages, and terrorists in the eyes of the oppressor. The conditions where a nation state believes it can own our land, our bodies, our fate. We've seen the same crimes perpetuated on Turtle Island, now dubbed the US, and all over the global south. All of our liberations are tied. It should stir something in you, in all of you. Your silence and the active support of the Israeli state is quantifiably unpopular and is causing imminent harm to people you claim to represent. It's impossible to ignore the atrocities committed against the Palestinian people. So we present a clear set of demands: call for a permanent ceasefire, reject all future collaborations with the Israeli occupation forces, and commit to using funds for more programs like HEART to refund Raleigh. It is our responsibility and your responsibility to your constituents who are grieving and experiencing a pain too great to fathom over the past 101 days.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, that is right.
Good evening. My name is Juno Rondelli, and I am speaking on behalf of the Triangle constituency of the Communist Party. We are urging that the Raleigh City Council vote to call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Palestine. In the past 100 days that the settler colonial occupiers, during this genocide, they have killed over 25,000 people within the Gaza Strip. This violence has been recognized by most UN nations and international human rights organizations as genocide. Councilors, I ask you, in this city of Oaks, do you stand with the people here today, your constituents? Do you stand with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Or do you wish to sow death of more children, women, and those of oppressed communities? For if you sow those seeds, you will reap your loss in this upcoming elections. Your local activists, labor leaders, socialists, and communists are running for your very seats. And the people of your districts will remember where you stand when they go to cast their ballots. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
My name is Mark Werner, and I'm a longtime Raleigh resident. I want my city council to address the important issues facing our city, like homelessness and crime, to better the lives of our local citizens. After all, that's probably why you all ran for city council, and that's what you were elected to do. I don't want my city council endorsing one side or the other of a foreign policy issue. If you endorse the Palestinians' proposal, then inevitably you will be faced with proposals to take sides on the Russia-Ukraine war, the Sudan civil war, and so on. Once you start down that road, it's a slippery slope. The proponents of the Palestinian proposal all know that the right place to push their proposal is in Washington, where foreign policy is made. So the proposal before the City Council is simply a means to attract media attention for their cause. I don't want my City Council to be used as a tool for gaining media attention. I want my City Council to make the lives of Raleigh residents better by addressing the tough challenges we face here in Raleigh. So I ask you to vote against the Palestinian proposal. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room whose name's on the screen right now? That would be number 138 and 141.
This is number 141, Hamdi Radwan, and I'm here with my grandchild. She has not slept for 3 months, and she's crying. She's crying to you and saying, why you spend the tax money to kill my mother? Why are you spending the tax money to take my home? Why are you spending the tax money to give a ticket to a thief from New York to take my home in Palestine and to displace me from my home? Why are you doing that? Why the previous speaker saying to take care of Raleigh? Yes, we need to take care of Raleigh by spending the tax money on Raleigh, not to tax money on Palestine, on Israel. And they said the peace, and the peace was there between Muslims and Jewish all the time since the history, and started the war, the crime, because we are funding criminals to call people, to take people out, to kill 30,000 people, to kill children. That's why we need to be involved. That's why you're not to be a hostage to them, calling you anti-Semitic, calling you that's not your business. They are holding you hostage.
Thank you. Anyone else whose name on the screen in the room? Okay, we'll go to the next set, please. Okay, if you see your name, please head down to the podium. Thank you.
Kevin Mitty. In the last 102 excruciating days, conflict and war have been used interchangeably to mask, subdue, and diminish the actuality of an ongoing genocide. Just yesterday, Israel's cabinet passed an amended $15 billion budget in light of the extermination of Gaza. There is no neutrality, and we are past informing ourselves. Silence represents a devoted stance to oppression, white supremacy, and global imperialism. The schism of morality and politics is clearly contrasted because today's victims could have been saved by yesterday's ceasefire. The naked truth is so easily understood that children are pleading from Rafah to Raleigh. Thank you, Christina, Megan, Jane, and Mary Black, for your possession of a moral compass. As for the remaining council members, your silence blatantly contradicts the inclusiveness that Mayor Baldwin claims to represent for the city of Raleigh. And that fact in itself is strikingly deplorable and a reflection of your detachment to your own humanity. Cease fire now.
My name is David Weisberg.
Hang on one second. Do you have a presentation?
No. Well, I had an email. I just sent an email. But there's nothing on the... No, that's not.
That's just for us to receive
right,
later.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is David Weisberg. We've heard a lot of speakers tonight, but there are 470,000 residents in Raleigh. The vast majority of those residents expect you to focus on issues having to do with enhancing the quality of their lives. They don't expect you to focus on an international issue that's unfolding 6,000 miles away from Raleigh. As American citizens, you, each member of the council, just like me and everyone else in the room, has a right to your opinions about what's going on in Gaza. But as council members, you ought to focus your attention on issues that have to do with Raleigh, not 6,000 miles away. You're derelict in your duty if that's what you're focusing on. Thank you very much.
My name is Omar, and I have a presentation.
Okay, just 1 second. We'll get that pulled up.
All right, I'm here to disprove all the propaganda and lies that Zionists use to stand against ceasefire. But let's see what cards they play. We all know that nothing is more anti-Semitic than Zionism. After the damage of the fake news was made, White House has clarified that Biden didn't actually see pictures of beheaded babies. Use Google, guys, please. Try to use Google. And let's actually see how Hamas treats their hostages. While this, how Israel does in Palestine since they stole our land, and they do this to more than 7,000 Palestinians hostages. No one talks about them. I don't know why.
Is there anyone else in the room whose name is on the screen? Okay, if we could get the next set of speakers, please. Thank you. And again, if you see your name, please just go ahead, head down to the podium. Thank you. Yes. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry.
What is it?
Oh, actually, I think the mic's not working. 1 second.
Okay, I thought so.
Do you need a second, or is it? Will you go ahead and try again? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sherry Kramer. I speak tonight because I feel it's crucial for this body to pass a resolution supporting a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Your voice matters. As a city council, your voice matters. I'm a mother. Every hour in Gaza, 2 mothers die, which means that every day almost 50 leave their children. And those children, if they live to adulthood, will never be the same. It's an unconscionable loss. I'm a third-generation American, descended from German and Ukrainian grandparents, but I also consider myself Palestinian because we are all one community of humanity. I am a mother who exists to support and strengthen the next generation, to breathe life and to love, not only my own children, but all. Palestinian and Americans right here in Raleigh have lost their mothers and family members to Israel's unrelenting violence. It is every bit a local issue as well as global. Please, please support a resolution to permanently end ceasefire, just as I know you would do if the siege were happening right here in Raleigh. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have something for the council.
Okay.
My name is Bilal Mohammed. I stand before you today to urge the Council to vote in favor of a permanent ceasefire resolution. Thank you, Mary Black, Christina Jones, Jane Harrison, and Megan Patton for their support in calling for a ceasefire. To the rest of the Council, I ask you, what holds you back from voting in favor of a ceasefire resolution? Is it fear of re-election that hinders moral judgment? Is it a lack of knowledge about the conflict? We are not discussing a distant, irrelevant issue. In 1986, our governor and the mayor of Raleigh took a stance against the apartheid taking place in South Africa. Today, we face a similar moral issue. Ignoring the plight of Palestinians, especially when violence against them is on the rise, even in our nation, endangers lives here in Raleigh. Opposing a ceasefire equates to endorsing ongoing devastation, the destruction of homes, the loss of innocent lives, including children, every 10 minutes. This is not about taking sides. It's about recognizing a humanitarian crisis and adhering to our moral and legal obligations. I urge you, members of the Council, to vote in favor of the ceasefire resolution like over 35 other city councils have. This is not just a plea for peace, it's a call for humanity. We must not allow our tax dollars to fund continued violence. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room whose name is on the screen? So number 148, 150, 152, 153. Okay, we'll bring up the next set of speakers, please. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leah Miller, so number 157. I'm a Raleigh resident. I've been in District C for the last 22 years. I ask you please to pass the resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. None of us as U.S. citizens are neutral bystanders of this genocide of the innocent civilians and children of Gaza and the potential death of hundreds of thousands due to the humanitarian crisis. The U.S. government is complicit in this horror by providing financial, military, and political support to Israel's war. Therefore, unless we speak, we too, as U.S. citizens, are passively supporting this horror. Silence can kill. Therefore, I respectfully beg you to not remain silent. Please use your platform as our leaders to help our community and our nation show our humanity. Please. Thank you.
My name is Josh Bradley, 1324 Spring Lawn Court. Mayor and councilors, if y'all don't want to hear what the public has to say and feel the need to cut public comment to 1 minute per speaker as you did on the 12th of December and again tonight, we will accept your resignation. Listening to the people and representing them is what you were elected to do. I get that you don't like what some folks have to say, but that's part of what you ran to do. If I'd won the last election and when I win the next one, I will listen to what the public has to say regardless of whether I agree with what's being said or even if folks are being mean to me. That is what being elected to city council is about. Second, please raise your hand if you think that over 24,000 deaths with over 12,000 of them children is ever justified. I would like to see you call the room. Okay. I'd like to think everyone here thinks that the hostages on both sides should be released. Bear in mind that Israel is holding many times more than the 250 in administrative detention. At the very least, this city could pass this resolution demanding a ceasefire. Ceasefire now. Do a referendum.
I'm 160, Taima Bulhawa. Can I pass out the documents?
Yeah, if you give them to the clerk, we'll make sure we get them. Thank you.
My name is Taima, a Raleigh resident and a Palestinian-American woman. The ongoing genocide has inflicted profound losses on my family in Gaza. My mom's relatives would try to send messages when possible, seeking forgiveness in case they didn't survive. The heartbreaking reality is when the internet is restored and we don't hear from them, we assume that they either died or they were captured by the IDF. Unfortunately, we discovered that my mother's cousin and her 3 sons were tragically bombed by the IDF. What even adds to this heartbreak is the delay in locating their bodies, allowing dogs to desegregate their remains. Jonathan, would you want your dog to eat a human being? I implore Raleigh City Council members to recognize their shared responsibility and advocate for an immediate ceasefire. Rejecting a ceasefire is an endorsement of further violence. Will Raleigh declare its refusal to be complicit in what is viewed as a current-day genocide? Thank you.
Anyone else on this list in the room? Okay, we'll get the next set up, please. Thank you. Oh, okay. Hang on one second.
Zoning request Z9222 is not the answer to Raleigh's transportation and affordable housing needs. There are no changes or tweaks to the language that will make it acceptable. This change request by the planning department, not property owners, has the flavor and appearance of a public taking without any of the benefits of a condemnation. If you vote in favor of this, you will be remembered as a partner in urban renewal. This is not the only way to demonstrate Raleigh's commitment to density and support of efficient public transportation. Z3623, Z4623, and Z5423 all represent excellent approaches to increase density that don't come at the expense of established neighborhoods and culture. Support these. Z9222 has been wrong since the beginning. Nothing can make it right. Don't hang this albatross around your neck. The Planning Commission recommends denial. You should take their advice. Thank you.
My name is Rayan. I want to point out that you've seen majority Palestinians here at City Council the last few months begging you to pass a ceasefire resolution. The Zionists sitting here started showing up after realizing we were making our voices heard. They fear the truth and attend these meetings in the hopes of scaring us into silence. Lie after lie, offering zero evidence to back up the claims made. Never will we be silenced. We were born resilient, fearful of no one but God, and with a sense of honor that many couldn't fathom. Our screams for justice will only get louder. Just last week in Gaza, my cousin's wife and kids were murdered. 14 of her family members were slaughtered. This is not the first time someone in this room has experienced a loss like this. I am one of millions with a heart that breaks more each passing day as I watch the genocide of my family and the demolition of my homeland be broadcasted to a world that goes blind and deaf when injustice happens to people of color. Ceasefire now.
Sami Nadamar. A few days ago marked 100 days of Israel killing Palestinians. 12,000 tiny Palestinian children with unfulfilled dreams to be poets, lawyers, environmental defenders, teachers, bakers, and so much more. Some of you may have children, nieces, nephews, neighbors. What will you tell them when they ask you in a month, in 5 months, in 20 years? What did you do about it? What did you do about it when the US was funding Israel committing genocide in Palestine, committing genocide on Gaza's children? And how can you live with this? Yesterday we celebrated MLK, who was a peace activist, yes, but also a radical, a revolutionary, who denounced what he called the triple evils of racism, capitalism, and militarism. And he also said this: there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic, nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him that it is right. Free Palestine.
My name is Gilberto Padilla Mercado. What we have seen in the past 100 days is one of the faces of imperialism funded by American tax dollars, which many would usually turn a blind eye to. Israel has been conducting an intensifying campaign of ethnic cleansing consisting of airstrikes, mass displacement, and starvation. I cannot sit idly by, so today I ask of this council to stand on the side of justice and human dignity, from Raleigh to Palestine, and introduce and pass a resolution calling for not only an immediate ceasefire, but also the support of Palestinian self-determination, and to publicly commit to your communities here by supporting affordable housing, livable wages, and labor protections. Now is not the time for politicians to become apolitical. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Tim. I have a presentation.
Okay, we'll get that pulled up.
Yeah. Who likes to breathe air? Raise your hand. Thanks. Thank a tree, actually, because we don't last more than 3 minutes without air. So next slide, please. Who likes to drink water? May raise your hand, please. Yeah, we don't last more than 3 days without water. Next slide, please. Who likes to eat food? We don't last more than 3 weeks without food. Next slide, please. We all need these shared gifts provided by white oaks in Raleigh and olive trees in Gaza. But we might not last more than 3 years at this rate because our better stories have been stolen to keep us divided and distracted. Next slide, please. Hegemonic economic growth at all costs, including gentrification in Raleigh and genocide in Gaza, has resulted in currently adding 10 nuclear bombs a second to the atmosphere. And the sooner we wake up, the better.
I have a presentation.
Okay.
My name is Mohammed Omari. They should go, as should the physical homes in which they raised snakes. Otherwise, more little snakes will be raised there. Beat them up, not once, but repeatedly. Beat them up so it hurts so badly until it's unbearable. Palestinians are beasts. They are not human. Send Gaza back to the Middle Ages. These are anti-Semitic statements made by Israeli officials prior to October 7th. And yes, I did say anti-Semitic. And if you don't believe me, well, we can ask Siri. Hey Siri, define Semitic.
Semitic means relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Persian.
And in case you didn't know, the majority of Palestinians speak Arabic, if not all of them. And to see what anti-Semitism results in, if you can go to the next slide. And there's a video to play on the next slide.
Okay. Unfortunately, that concludes your time, but if you want to email that to us, we can receive it that way as well. Thank you. Anyone else on the screen? I thought that was you.
I have a cough, so I'm trying to protect everybody. I want this just to go for later to the clerk. It's like, some of it's nice stuff. One packet is art, and the rest of it is for you guys to discuss later.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
No, you'll have to pull it down.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm shrinking, I'm old.
And then just your name for the record. But I think I
Erica
remember
Reef.
it. That's right, go ahead.
And so I'm hearing the voices of people saying you shouldn't be addressing things that are not about local issues. So let's make this about me. I live in Raleigh. I voted for most of you. I'm Jewish. I'm 72 years old. I've lived in Raleigh for, I guess, almost 20 years, Durham before that for about 15 years. This is an email I got this morning at around 7 o'clock in the morning. It's entitled, "One Truth, Sorry About Gaza. You are one of those leftists, Israel-hating idiots with no knowledge of history at all. We are the Z, forces of victory for the Jewish people. And your days are numbered for the lies and propaganda you spew, not to mention aiding terrorist groups that would just as soon kill you. Signed, Zionist Forces of Victory, Golani Unit." Now, some of the speakers, am I over? Some of the speakers might have probably.
Thank you. And we did receive your email too. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. There have been additional names put up in this, so if you're on this list, please go ahead and head down. Thank you.
I'm Ruth Jeffers, 172.
Thanks.
Good evening. I've lived my whole life in North Carolina, except for the 5 months that I spent in Palestine in 2022, where I saw Israel's apartheid system for myself and learned exactly what the money from my pocket funds. That makes this personal. This is our issue. 2 months ago, Carborough recognized its responsibility to its neighbors in Palestine by passing a resolution for a ceasefire, and I'm here to urge Raleigh City Council to do the same, because doing so will increase the pressure on Washington to stop using Americans' tax dollars to fund the genocide of a long oppressed group of people. This genocide is only possible because of our country's support, and when our tax dollars are killing 100 starved and traumatized children every day, it's our job to say, shut it down. Ted Budd, Tom Tillis, our representatives, and Joe Biden are never going to listen to our months of phone calls and protests, so we need our local governments to pressure the criminals in Washington to stop committing genocide. We are up against horrific powers of destruction, and we must use whatever power we have to end this nightmare. You are now. Thank you.
Cassidy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mason Morris. I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America and a resident of District B. For over 100 days, Israel has been indiscriminately dropping American bombs on the population of Gaza under the cover of our nation's military and diplomatic clout. Since the massive intensification of Israel's 75-year campaign of illegal occupation, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing in October, the American UN delegation has used its Security Council veto twice now to prevent a ceasefire resolution from passing. As Israel faces charges of genocide in the ICJ and the confirmed death toll in Gaza nears 25,000, our role as residents of a major city within the nation enabling this open slaughter should be coming into focus more now than ever. Ceasefire now, boycott, divest, and sanction the apartheid regime. Free, free Palestine. Thank you.
Anybody else on the list in the room? Okay, we'll get the next set of speakers up, please. If you see your name, please go ahead and head to the podium. Thank you.
I'm Henry Schaefer, 175, and I'm not a Raleigh native. I've only lived and voted here for over 60 years. I want to encourage our city council to avoid supporting terrorists who kill, rape, kidnap, and keep hostages and hide behind civilians.
I'm sorry, they're making comments after he's done.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear it, but okay, I did not hear it. Please refrain from making comments, please. Thank you. If the next person could please come to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Kayla Cyrus. I come before you today as a proud mother of 4 beautiful children and an Afro-Indigenous Waccamaw and Tuscarora woman. Some of y'all have no idea that these are 2 out of 9 First Nations here in what we now call North Carolina, and that is by design. So-called North Carolina has the largest population of indigenous nations and people on the East Coast, and most people don't even know we exist, and that is by design. This is by design of genocide. Generations and generations later, we are still picking up the pieces and working hard to hold on and pass on our traditions to our children, as little left as we have of it. The genocide of indigenous peoples on this land is a piece of North Carolina's dark history that I am sure you all as representatives are not proud of. So this begs the question, why are so many of you as representatives willing to be silent in the face of this ongoing US-funded genocide of Palestinians, the indigenous people of that land? Have we learned nothing from the mistakes of your ancestors? There can be no excuse for genocide. Ceasefire now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Catherine Scoggins. I'm a Raleigh resident, an NC State alum, a Christian, and a data scientist. I am demanding Council pass a resolution for a permanent ceasefire to end Israel's genocide in Gaza. To start, Israel are known liars. 17 minutes into their own defense at the ICJ, Israel presented a photo collage of 136 hostages where at least 12 photos are repeated twice. Go to YouTube, play a game of I Spy. It's right there. I'd repeat the statistics that others have already said, but as a data scientist, I invite you to see the human beings making up those statistics. As a data scientist, people are not numbers, they are souls, not statistics. This is not about religion. Israel has targeted Palestinian Jews and Christians, yes, Jews, because of their simple existence is a paradox to Israel's narrative. The only war we are witnessing is one of narratives, humanity and facts versus evil and justified propaganda straight out of the 2009 Global Language Dictionary. You can look that up. To my disgust, I've witnessed this in my own Christian community. Ceasefire now. Decolonize Christianity while we're at it.
It's yeah, right there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Damien. I'm a member of Triangle Democratic Socialists of America. I did not realize Hamas was paying people to be here. I've been doing this for free. So now that I know that, Hamas says to reject the New Bern Avenue Transit Overlay District. Hamas says to adopt the HART program. Hamas says to follow the living wage policy for all city workers, including temporary part-time workers. Yeah, I think Hamas also said to reschedule the canceled January 9th public comments. And also restore speaking time to 3 minutes for each speaker. I mean, personally, I would like a permanent ceasefire resolution passed, but that's not what Hamas wants. I don't know, maybe. Are they paying me?
On October 22nd, there was a local pro-Israel...
Just one sec. Could you just give me your name real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah. My name is Hilal Khairallah.
Okay, thank you.
On October 22nd, there was a local pro-Israel rally that took place at Bicentennial Plaza, and it was covered by WRAL. One of many other morally bankrupt organizers, Matt Diamond, stated that if there's any kind of genocide going on, it's a genocide against Jews by Palestinians and Muslims more generally. If he and his colleagues actually knew their history, they would know that Palestine prospered peacefully the most under Muslim rule. It wasn't until the British colonial state and the terrorist ideology of Zionism took power that we now see countless people getting killed in Gaza by the abomination known as Israel. And then you label them as terrorists for resisting your oppression. The great Malcolm X, who was an open supporter of Palestine, said, quote, "You don't get freedom peacefully. Freedom is never safeguarded peacefully. Anyone who is depriving you of freedom isn't deserving of a peaceful approach by the one who's being deprived of their freedom," end quote. Hence why us pro-Palestinians will not rest until Raleigh and the rest of the United States call for a permanent ceasefire now. God is watching.
Speaker 174. Accept, please. Yeah, I got it. If your name is on this list, if you could please head to the podium. I do understand that we have 2 speakers who will need the hand mic. If we could go ahead and just bring that to them, please. Pardon? Yeah, why don't we go ahead and let them go first, please? If we could just 1 second, thank you. If there's 2 speakers in the back, thanks. If you could just give me your name before you speak, thank you.
Yes, sir. My name is David Robertson. I'm a professional engineer and former traffic engineer with the city of Raleigh. I've been in this room prior to 1984 discussing other things. Number one, where in the city city code does it allow the city council to take a position on foreign wars? The main reason I wanted to speak is I want to speak in praise of our policemen. When we wrote school zones, speed limits, and so forth, we relied on having policemen that we could call and go out and make sure the public abided by the laws. And if you defund the police, not only will crime go up, but also the public safety of the community. I thank my fellow policemen for their service.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no interruptions, please. All right, next speaker, thank you.
My name is Susan Robertson, a Raleigh resident. I just wanted to make a comment that if there is any resolution to defund our city police or our sheriff's department, I think that would be a major disaster. We need our police to help enforce rules and to promote safety and security in this city. They are a vital asset to all of us, and I feel that it would be a major disaster. No, we need our police.
Okay, thank you. Everyone else whose name's on the screen may come forward, please. Thank you.
Lauren Frey. I'm here as an anti-Zionist Jewish constituent and a member of Jewish Voice for Peace to demand the Raleigh City Council pass a resolution calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. The Israeli government is committing genocide against the Palestinian people funded by our U.S. taxpayer dollars and under the false premise of Jewish safety. But let's be clear, this is not about Jewish safety because Jewish safety is intertwined with Palestinian safety. This is about settler colonialism, capitalism, and racism. For more than 100 days, the Israeli military, supported by the U.S. government, has inflicted horrific violence against the people of Gaza, killed at least 23,000 people, including more than 10,000 children. The violence must end now. The genocide must end now. The occupation must end now. I want to thank council members Mary Black, Christina Jones, Megan Patton, and Jane Harrison for publicly calling for a ceasefire. I demand that other members of the council end their silence on genocide and join their colleagues in calling for justice. At least 44 cities across the country have passed ceasefire resolutions, and I look forward to Raleigh City Council doing the same. Free Palestine.
Hi, my name is Susan Bowers. I live in District E, and I grew up in Raleigh. I never thought I would see the day when America engaged in war by refusing a civilian population food, water, shelter, electricity, and medical care. We have truly lost our way. The entire Gaza Strip is 6% smaller than the city of Raleigh in square miles. Can you imagine if the first and fourth largest militaries in the world parked on our border and combined forces to drop over 30,000 bombs in Raleigh, as we have on Gaza since October 7th? That's 10,000 a month, over 200 per square mile. The captive people in Gaza are dying of starvation, injury, and disease. It will take weeks to mobilize appropriate amounts of food and medical care into Gaza. We must have an immediate ceasefire to avoid America triggering the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinian civilians. Please sign the resolution.
"102 days.
Your name first.
Camellia.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
102 days. 102 days of terror, 102 days of agony and deprivation, 102 days of murder and loss, 102 days of inhumanity. Let me ask you all this. Have you ever had to dig your own baby out of rubble? No? Well, have you ever had to amputate your own child's leg just to save them? No? Well, maybe you're someone who struggled with infertility, and after years of waiting and dreaming to have a child, after years of failed procedures and 580 injections, you finally get pregnant and give birth to a beautiful, healthy baby boy, only to get caught in a genocide and have to bury your rainbow baby 2 short years later. This is the reality of every human being living in Gaza for the past 102 days. You have the power to make a change. You have the power to call for a ceasefire. 102 days.
Thank you. Is Speaker 179 here? Okay, we'll get the next group up, please. Thank you. And then if you see your name on the screen, please go ahead and come down to the podium.
Jamal Mohammed. The glaring discrepancies of rape claims made by Israeli witnesses are telling. The witnesses have altering stories that continue to change. According to one woman witness, there are not one but now 2 women who were raped, and there is no longer a shooting but breast manipulation, knifing, and 3 severed heads. There are now male witnesses who suddenly remember seeing a rape after not seeing it the first time. Also, Gal Abdush's family denies the rape claims forced upon her. Since when did the alleged rape of a white woman constitute and justify the systematic extermination of 31,000 brown people? It sounds like another wolf whistle Emmett Till situation on a much larger magnitude. This is what we can do on a local level that can have a global impact. If you want to focus on domestic issues, let's start by not providing a terrorist state with our American soldiers, free healthcare and education, subsidized housing with our tax dollars. We are not asking the Raleigh City Council to go fight in Palestine. We are simply asking for the bare minimum. We want our city to call for peace, not genocide. A ceasefire is the bare minimum. Put an end to the occupation. Call for a ceasefire. Free Palestine!
Number 189, Mohammed Khalil.
Thank you.
I want you to imagine this scene. A family, 3 generations of a family, about 20 people, are trapped in their family's house in a destroyed neighborhood. They are warned by soldiers in tanks that the home is about to be bombed, and they are ordered to leave the building. The grandmother looks around the house and finds a white piece of clothing, puts it on a stick, and bravely leads the way in front of the whole family, waving her makeshift white flag with one hand and holding the hand of her grandson, 5 or 6 years old, with her other hand. She's ordered to move in one direction, but she's so terrified to understand what they're saying, and she walks towards them. Less than 10 steps, they shoot her at point blank in front of her whole family while holding the hand of her grandson. Now, I want you to imagine that you're standing there, and this is your mother, and this young boy is your son. The least you can do is to support the ceasefire. The least you can do is to support the resolution. We weren't asking for a ceasefire for Syria or for Yemen because it wasn't the U.S. dropping bombs on these. But now the U.S. is dropping bombs on those people and supporting this massacre.
Thank you. Cassidy, we got some more.
I want to remind you all, history did not start on October 7th.
I'm so sorry. Your name, please.
Sabrine.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to remind you all that history did not start on October 7th. This is an occupation of 76 years for the Palestinians. I want to ask you a question to the ones who are rejecting the ceasefire. How do you even think for even a second to oppose a ceasefire after seeing what Israel is doing in the videos? And oh, they just bombed now in the news and they're aiming at the last hospital that's in Khan Yunis. How could you look at the video shown earlier without a tear or showing any remorse for the Palestinians? How can you just watch the injured and the children crying in pain? What a sick human you truly are, and you still don't have a face and call us terrorists and liars when Israel always has to hide in the dark or always justify what crimes they do with fake propaganda, and they are in the cause to all the destruction in this world. Thank you to those who are supporting humanity and who are on the right side of history. Thank you, Christina Jones and Mary Beck, and to who are all with us. An occupier remains an occupier. We are demanding a ceasefire now and today.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Yes. Okay. My name's Noah Rubin Blos. I am a student rabbi, and I am here to ask you to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. I am the rabbi of Makom, a synagogue here in the Triangle with many members in Raleigh. In Jewish tradition, we refer to Torah, our sacred text, as an Eitz Chaim, a tree of life. In the words of a national statement by Rabbis for Ceasefire that I signed and more than 240 of my colleagues have signed, Torah should be a source of life, not death. Life, not death, are its fruits. So I stand here rooted in Jewish tradition that holds that each of us is made in the image of the divine, with my Jewish community, with the Palestinian community, with the majority of Americans, to say that it is the responsibility of each and every one of us as human beings to save lives right now by calling for a ceasefire. Our liberation is bound up together, never again for anyone. Jewish safety and Palestinian safety are bound up together. Please join me in calling for a ceasefire.
Speakers 185 and 187. Okay, next set, please.
I'm 191.
Thank you.
I'm not a poet or a speaker, so here it goes. First and foremost, listen to my friends. I don't know all their names, and they don't know mine, but we're all one of the same kind. First and foremost, listen to my friends. Their families and loved ones are being killed, and from our paychecks, we're footing the bill. First and foremost, listen to my friends. Day after day, you hear their cries, yet all they're met with are more and more lies. First and foremost, listen to my friends. Some of you say you can't take a stance, but if I brought receipts, would you take that chance? First and foremost, listen to my friends. Did you see our mayor's Facebook? If not, take a look. But first and foremost, listen to my friends. That flag in her photo shows she'll use her voice, but it's not too late and there's still a choice. First and foremost, listen to my friends. Listen to each person, listen to the crowd. Listen when we say,
my name is Talia Brenner, and I live in District D. I'm here to call the Raleigh City Council to vote for the ceasefire resolution. I'm a Jewish woman, and I am horrified by the Israeli government's massacre of Palestinian civilians. The Israeli government's language of collective punishment for October 7th is genocidal logic. It is an atrocity, and moreover, it is counter to Jewish values. A permanent ceasefire is the best option to protect the lives of Palestinians and Israelis. In calling for a ceasefire, Raleigh would join the 37 other U.S. cities who did not look away in a humanitarian crisis and who choose peace over endless war. Please choose peace, ceasefire now.
لما وفى. Right. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Lama. I'm a Palestinian American woman, a student, and a grandchild of a Nakba survivor. I'm also a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Hundreds of people have been coming out week after week to these meetings, taking the time out of their days, calling out of work, doing everything that they can do to see you and to make their demands clear so that you'll do your job and represent us. Look at this room right now. It's clear. How many more people do you need to come out for you to finally listen to us? Why are you staying silent? Your cowardice even got you to cut off our time down to 1 minute and only meet us on weekdays. You made it clear. You don't care about us. All you care about is to keep your pockets warm. The people demand a ceasefire now.
My name's Ennis. 196.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Ennis. I'm a District D resident, NC State student, and a DSA member. I support affordable housing. I stand with the city workers in their demand for a $25 minimum wage. I support the LGBT solidarity resolution that's being considered here. And I also support the adoption of an immediate ceasefire resolution. I know some feel that this is an international matter that's not relevant to our city, but Raleigh is on the map of the world, and it is our money that is being spent. Even judging by the number of people in this room, it's clear that this is a local issue. And really, how can I feel safe in this city if it cannot acknowledge or condemn a genocide, or if the cops that are coming to our peaceful protests to oversee it are being trained by the same IDF soldiers who are murdering civilians in Gaza? We are all connected, and Raleigh needs this ceasefire resolution.
I'm Irene Cho, 195. I want to address some of the claims regarding the mass rapes purported by the Zionists. I reject the racist Orientalist caricature that paints Palestinian men as rapists. The idea that colonized men are violent rapists is an age-old stereotype that has been used as justification for continued subjugation and oppression. The weaponization of white women's tears has motivated some of the most horrific acts of anti-Black terrorism in America. This is Zionism hand in hand with racist colonial ideology to justify genocide. If you want to talk about rape, we can address the widespread rape of Palestinians in Israeli prisons. There are thousands of Palestinians being held without charges, and there is Palestinian men, women, and children being raped because hundreds of Palestinian children are arrested every single year. Palestinians and Israeli face different court systems because Israel is an apartheid state that sends Palestinians through kangaroo courts where they are raped in prison. You don't even have to be brave. Other city councils have already passed ceasefire resolutions. All you have to do is follow their example and pass a ceasefire.
Well, 193. Yep. So many of you have already been seeing and hearing from me since you assumed office. You know where I stand. I speak on a lot of local issues, especially when it comes to gentrification and environmental justice, from downtown South, Shaw University, Heritage Park, and Western Transit Overlay District, and now the New Bern Transit Overlay District, all which has to do with the displacement of the Black community that's happening here in Raleigh. So, I'm here right now, standing with the fellow Palestinian community because I know that this issue matters to them because many of them have families here that are being attacked and killed. I have a dad who lives in Taiwan. If something happens over there, I would come here for that very same reason. And also, it's very telling as Zionists see ceasefire as a threat to them. It's almost parallel to gentrifiers in the U.S. seeing land back as a threat. It's projecting. So yes, I need you to call for a permanent ceasefire immediately.
Thank you. If we can get the next set of speakers, please. That's everyone. Okay, and if you see your name on the screen, please go ahead to the podium. Thank you. Again, if your name is on the screen, if you could please head to the podium. I see two folks in the back who I know's names are on the screen. If your name's up here now, if you could come to the podium. Thank you.
198.
Thank you.
Removing Hamas would lead to a better future for Gaza and the Palestinian people. Hamas' decision to launch a mass murder attack resulted in Israel's determination to free Gaza from Hamas, potentially paving the way for a new regional reality in which it could one day be replaced by a moderate Palestinian government entity backed by pragmatic Arab states such as Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Indeed, Hamas terror leaders have stated that they have no interest in governing Gaza or providing for the Palestinian civilians there. I hope that, that's a quote, I hope that the state of war with Israel will become permanent on all the borders and the Arab world will stand with us. Hamas terrorist Taher El-Naoun said in an interview with the New York Times. Hamas's goal is not to run Gaza and to bring water and electricity to such, but enrich themselves and to kill Israelis.
Thank you. Y'all, guys, we can't have, folks, we can't have arguing in the crowd. I'm so sorry. Please, thank you. Go ahead.
197. What it is, people probably forgot history. Like Israel supply like a Gaza Strip, electricity and water. Before they did like October 7 interruption, they're supposed to know, Israeli cut water and all supply and everything, and they actually asking for this. And also, I just want to tell you, Shiva Hospital, Israeli design and build. But my concern is you're supposed to concentrate on local problems. I'm more concerned about Bill 488 and also concerned about my street. I call you guys every day, nobody pick it up phone. And also I just bring some paper for city attorney because nobody actually call me. You don't even have a programs, for citizen about building alternative material, nothing. About affordable houses, nothing. I can lead some program if you call me, we can set up meeting. I spent more than close to 40 years in construction. Nobody.
Okay, thank you. If you could actually give that to the clerk and the clerk, well, we'll make sure the clerk gets it and then we'll make sure the attorney gets it. Thank you.
Okay, hello, my name is Elias Bea. My name is Elias Bea. I was born in an ancient Christian community in the Holy Land, very close to Gaza. Community where Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived together peacefully, continually, since the days of Jesus Christ. But 75 years ago, something happened. Refugees came from Europe after World War II, and they created a Jewish state. And with ethnic cleansing, the lives and properties of Christians and Muslims were stolen, leaving them prisoners in Gaza. We got to remember this because it's not about Hamas. Millions of people in Gaza do not have a country. They're not free to live like we live. For 75 years, they're bombed and killed on a daily basis. So let's ask ourselves, what should we tell our children? What should we tell our community? What do we stand for? Do we stand for religious discrimination? Do we stand for inequality? Do we stand for apartheid? Your vote.
Thank you.
Mariam Beye is my name. All right. I'm an Arab Orthodox Christian student at NC State University. It's dystopian to go to uni every day knowing that my own people, family, and friends might be a target at any moment. While kids are getting bombed, disfigured, and have their remains carried in bags, I'm here taking organic chemistry. America is the land of the free, right? Free enough that wearing my own cultural attire can make me a victim of a hate crime by someone who's later painted as a mentally unstable person. By supporting genocide, you're basically saying that we aren't worth of life due to our color, appearance, and culture. 9/11 for you is 24/7 for us. And there's no reason to bomb schools, historical sites, and innocent civilians on the Holy Land. Raleigh stood on the right side of the apartheid once, and we expect you to do the same. As a US citizen, have we not learned anything about genocide from our own history? Ceasefire and free Palestine.
I'm Majid Beya. All right, may I start?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Majid El Beya. I am a Christian Arab from Lebanon. And after all I've heard today, a speech is not needed. It is clear as day that we should cease fire immediately. This genocide should have never been possible and most definitely should no longer be an option. Ceasefire would only mean as a step closer to peace, which is in conclusion our initial goal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Is speaker 202 here? 202? Okay, we'll get the next. Was that, I think, maybe. We can get the next setup, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Adam Holtzman.
Okay, thank you.
It's been a long night. A lot has been said. A lot of passion. I respect everyone's passion and their desire to speak out. I think this is one of the great aspects of our country. The question really here is, should the council speak for the city of Raleigh on behalf of all of us? That's a different position.
Hang on. Okay. I understand many of you feel that way. We have to let him speak though, please. Thank you. Just 1 second. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We do have differences of opinion. Those differences of opinion are probably across Raleigh, not just reflected by the people who came to the meeting today because they felt passionate. So I hope you'll consider that. Even if you speak your own opinion on your own web pages or make your own statements, that's different than when you speak for the city of Raleigh. Thank you.
Hi, I'm under Yotam Kahana. It was a bit ago, sorry.
That's fine, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. This is to the audience as well. I have been sexually assaulted. Do you believe me, a proud Jewish woman? Or do you need video proof that I have not been able to tear my eyes away from that you can debunk as a myth? How dare you? How dare you think beheading babies, burning people alive, and raping will free Palestine?
Hang on. We have to let everyone talk. I understand there are a lot of differing opinions, but please, all right, go ahead. Thank you.
How dare you patronize and belittle us as you throw around your buzzwords as if we did not carry our ancestors' fear from the Holocaust and the many attempts on our entire group around with us always? How dare you think it supports your cause when I've seen all of you put up your signs while the Jewish people of Raleigh are saying they feel afraid and we're watching our people be slaughtered while you deny it? I have always been pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian. Why do they need to oppose each other? I believe that supporting the removal of Hamas and returning of the hostages safely will bring peace to all and end our communal and constant heartbreak. I urge you to educate yourself and to not pass this resolution. People have tried to kill us time and time again, and we simply will prevail. Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you.
205, Bianca Munoz.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bianca Catalina. I'm a proud product of the Wake County Public School System as well as the UNC system. And I'm excited to announce I just graduated in December and I now hold a degree in Holocaust, Genocide, and Human Rights Studies. I'm also an artist. I double majored in music. I have an art display in Charlotte that I made for Yom HaShoah, the Jewish Day of Remembrance for the Holocaust. I'm also singing in a recital in 2 months, singing music in memory of the Holocaust. Through my research and studies, I believe that it's best for us to call for a ceasefire immediately, echoing what many of the speakers have said. The main reason that the mayor gave for us not currently having a ceasefire from the council was fear that the Jewish community may feel, and I just want to emphasize and uplift the Jewish voices today, including the rabbi who spoke and called for a ceasefire. So I'd just like to say free Palestine, and I'd like to see a ceasefire now.
Zoe Hansen.
Thank you.
Hi.
Represent the interests of your citizens and call for a permanent ceasefire. This country is not free. Joe Biden and his corporate cronies are doing everything possible to ensure that this genocide continues, in direct contradiction with the wishes of the American people. Our major media is not free, most recently illustrated by the refusal to broadcast South Africa's trial at the ICJ and then to broadcast Israel's response the next day. They also failed to report on the 400,000 march in DC last Saturday calling for a ceasefire, two truly historic events hidden from our citizens. Our president has repeatedly bypassed Congress to send billions of our money to Israel and to bomb Yemen. Many of our federal representatives refuse to meet with us, take our calls, or respond to our demands. So we come here to you for the fourth time to find some semblance of democracy. The fact is, it is your job to represent us. Which side are you on? Free Gaza. Free Palestine.
Hi, my name is Karen Stritzinger, and I asked Raleigh to follow the lead of many other cities and countries around the world in using its voice to pass a resolution for a permanent ceasefire. I want to thank Megan Patton, Mary Black, Christina Jones, and Jane Patterson for signing the letter written by NC elected leaders for a permanent ceasefire and urge the remaining council members to join them in doing so immediately. This weekend, I traveled with hundreds of thousands of people to flood the streets of DC and demand our government end its complicity in genocide. I will never forget the love expressed by Palestinians, Jewish people, and their allies toward victims on all sides of the conflict, and the solidarity shown as we march together. I left with a strong feeling of hope that we can work together to achieve lasting peace. The world is watching. Will we go down in history as bystanders, or will we use our voices to speak up for those being oppressed and free Palestine?
Speakers 204, 206, if you're in the room. Okay, we'll get the next group, please. Okay, if your name's on the screen, if you could please come to the podium, thank you.
I'm gonna go by Jagan Patterson.
It's combined.
Everyone knows the distance. Hello, I'm 210. Courtney.
Thank you.
My name is Courtney. I'm a teacher in our community, and I come here at the end of this long night to empower you to take action against the ongoing horror in Gaza. Israeli bombing of Gaza has killed more than 8,000 children in 102 days. And every day I think, what if these were my students? What if we had to confront what approximates to 111 busloads of our dead children? I ask you to recall the first day of school this year when an active shooter in Chapel Hill terrorized our extended community. I'm sure many of you here feared for the safety of your children or other loved ones in the path of harm's way. I ask you to imagine if this was your everyday reality, not just one day, but 102. If it wasn't just one gunman, but bomb after bomb, your children stuck under the rubble with no ambulances or medical facilities to treat them. This council has power. Its voice reaches not only members of our community, but the congressional representatives that call this district home. Please use your power and call for a ceasefire.
I'm Alex Trejo on number 209.
Thank you.
I'm here representing the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and we see that you claim to care about the community and don't want it to be split by this ceasefire resolution decision. However, we've always known where you stood when it comes to your actual care of the community. Let's take a look at the state of Southeast Raleigh, which is continuously pushing out Black and brown working class people. If you support the gentrification that oppresses the people at home, we know where you stand with the Zionist oppressors abroad. However, we will not let you win. In the struggle against gentrification in places like Southeast Raleigh, we cannot ignore the historical injustices that echo worldwide. Just as we resist the displacement of Black and brown working class communities at home, we stand in solidarity with those facing the enduring Nakba and over 75 years of occupation and genocide abroad. Together, we recognize that the power of the people transcends borders, and we will persist in our fight for our liberation.
My name is Connor. I live in Raleigh, and I'm a member of Socialist Alternative. I'm here to support a resolution demanding an immediate, permanent ceasefire and an end to all U.S. military aid to Israel. Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza for the whole world to see. They're doing this in order to annex and expand into Gaza. The U.S. enables this by providing military aid. Our tax dollars fund tanks and bombs used to murder ordinary people. The same politicians in both parties who callously enable this also enable the evils of capitalist America, like stagnant wages, homelessness, and police violence. Most Americans want a ceasefire, but the federal government does not care. Biden's popularity is tanking, and he's not changing course. It is the responsibility of local politicians to apply pressure where the federal government fails us. The only force that can really stop U.S. support for genocide is the organized working class. And to do that, we need to build our own party, independent of corporations and the Democrats, or nothing will change. Raleigh City Councilors can help this by supporting our protest movement, mobilizing people to it, and publicly identifying as independent from both corporate parties. Please help us build this.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. That concludes our meeting, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!